Night Court's now in session. That's right. I've been told if I don't use this, people will riot. And so now you just got that in your ear holes. So I'm sorry. I probably should come over here and put it on the ground, and that's more probably legitimate. But of course, I want to just sit here and go, oh, we need a little.
That was amazing.
Little chuckle after today, huh?
Oh, man. Yeah. My blood pressure was back up again.
That Z-snap was strong. The Z-snap was strong today. I think Kathy's rubbing off on me, except she's fantastically funny, and I try real hard.
Oh my gosh. I knew that everybody would fall in love with her, and I've been telling people in the streams to, go check her out. But I knew having her on here that everybody would fall in love with her. So I'm so happy she came on. Everybody loves her. She's fantastic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm so sorry. I'm yawning. I'm so sorry. Oh wow.
Is today?
15 years yesterday since he's been gone. Wow.
That's I mean, I believe you. June 4th. Yep. Sorry, Wiggle Styles. It's not that I didn't believe you. I just wanted to check. That's all. I trust all of you, honestly. You know way more than I do. That's for sure. Hello, Indy Cindy. Hello. Hello, Zens.
Hello.
Who else we got coming? Sandra, Oliver. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. It helps when you can just portal in and portal out.
Yeah. Any of y'all who were in day court today that saw him portal in, when I'd taken Lucy out to go potty, I saw the clips of JT portaling in and like his bobblehead portaling in and dancing for everybody and then leaving. Oh, y'all are funny.
It's just one of those things. Sometimes we just need a break. And that's kind of what I decided impulsively that should be offered. So it's what I went for. Oh goodness gracious. What else we got going on? What else? What else, everybody? How are you doing today? This evening? Hello.
We gotta give out our furniture.
Ricky? Hello, Ricky. Yes, we do need to give out our furniture. Doggone it, you're right. So let's do that, shall we?
Let's get out some furniture.
All right, everybody. First place is Portland Trailblazers TV. I had to dissect that T and the V. I had a moment.
It's a really fancy font. So not all of the names go on there like normally. So I did it like a super fancy font to go with the super fancy throne, but I might have to change that font because it really is kind of hard to read, especially when I'm doing it first thing in the morning when I'm starting day court. I'm like, welcome.
Is
Portland,
that right?
Trail Crushers toes. What? Welcome.
Trail
like
Crushers.
You can't really see it all. So.
Well, Portland Trailblazers, Mr. Repeat Offender, whether it's first or second. I don't know what kind of internet you have, but I need some of yours. That to me is, you're real fast. You're real fast. Indy Cindy just has been a member for a month. She said felt bad and sad, but hopeful Travis prevailed. Yeah, I think we are too. Thank you for the month.
Happy cultiversary. Happy cultiversary.
Yes. City Kitty got second place, so you 865 got second place, so you get the lovely lab chair. Which I don't know if you heard what Kathy said last night, The lab chair would be a lot more fun if it vibrated, is what she said. So, I mean, we'll give you that option, but just know it's 25 cents for about 5 minutes, and then you got to put in more quarters. So we have to make money somewhere, and that's just
Right.
that's just where it's going. And then third place, Sandra Oliver, you get probably one of the more comfortable chairs, the beanbag chair, the love sack. Love sack, baby, love sack. Right?
Sack, yeah. That one's got
Complete
its
with
own song.
complimentary. It does. I might have to do it. It is complete with a plastic cover just for you. And Ricky Watson just gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Ricky. Retired Shirt. What a great name. Thank you for joining the cult. You are now in. Grab your Kool-Aid with a C and an E. Again, because you guys are going to get tired of me saying it, but I say it anyways because of copyright law. And grab your juror chair or your vibrating lab stool, I suppose.
Or whatever. Whatever. Whatever imaginary furniture you would like to see. I even thought about one time, I was like, how fun would it be if like we changed it up all the time? And then I was like, there is not enough time in the mornings for me to come up with like,
not for you.
Like a new stool or, or like soapbox or milk crate or like whatever random things to sit on. I was like, there's not enough, for me to find. But
we had a new person here. Retired Shirt said Day Court was maddening. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Cece, I'm gonna assume it's Cece. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but she said I'm new. I was some of the trial in another channel, but they're now at the end. Will be my second time watching. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for coming. Yes, Kathy is definitely a vibe. It's a vibe that I can get with.
Yeah.
We love her so much. She's so quick.
Yeah.
And
you know what I love about her too? Like her videos, she does her videos at like 5 o'clock in the morning or something. And she is already like wide-eyed, on it, doggone it. Like, just, to have her energy. She's amazing. And she's so funny.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Smile, love. Don't you worry about that. You take care of yourself. And you are more than welcome to stay in the gray. We still love everybody here. It doesn't matter one way or another. We appreciate you just being here. Just hit the like button. That helps. That's a helpful thing. And then let's see. We got somebody said no spoilers. I'm watching now. Are you talking about today? We might talk a little bit about it. So you might want to put us on mute for like 5 minutes.
Spoiler alert. You're going to be mad. That's your spoiler alert. You're going to be
There
mad.
it is. That's it. She said, yeah, play. Last night when we played her video at ×2 speed, you saw me just slowly go back and slow it down just a little bit each time. Yeah. Oh, it was a good time. We had such a good time. And if you haven't seen the WTF from last night, definitely go back because some of Kathy's takes had me rolling. I didn't necessarily fall out of my seat because I already tried that once a week or two ago. But yes, it was fantastic. So let's go ahead and get our angry hoodies on, shall we? And just briefly, and just talk about today.
Oh, wait, we can't be angry yet because Candace Hoff just gifted 5 memberships. Okay. So wait, hoodies down.
What?
Candace Hoff gifted 5 memberships. So smile, love.
Hey,
Jenna.
That wasn't long.
Yeah, Jenna wrote Lily's. It would bite me. And Sue Magic. And Sue Magic were all gifted memberships. So yay, thank you so much, Candace Hoff. We appreciate that. That's awesome.
We do. Oh, and I had some of our mods did some math today, which was awesome in terms of some of the gifted memberships. And we're not going to hit everybody, but that being said, I do want to. Well, I want to find it. Is what I want to do. Oh, here. Okay. Nurse for God gifted like 25 memberships today, and Terry gifted 10.
Crazy.
So thank you to everybody who gifted today, but holy cow, thank you so much.
It was
We certainly
awesome.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
A whole bunch. All right. So thank you so much for that gift, Candace. Appreciate it a lot. And yeah, okay. All right. Angry Hoodie's back on.
All right, Angry Hoodie's back on. All right, we're mad again.
I'm letting you go.
Woosah. Okay. Here's my problem with the state. And here's the reason I've already sent them letters. Once again today, the DA, or the one, I think she's assistant DA actually. She got up there and okay, now first of all, let me say, Miss Linda knocked it out of the park with her testimony. We all loved her. She was just as sweet as she could be. We cried with her. I was talking to one of the family members who was in court today, and she said that she was like, when I walked out, I didn't have on any more makeup because they were all crying with her too. She's just so lovable, and she was being so genuine, and she did a dang good job raising those babies, because those young men are so respectful and just sweet, and so was she, and she did such a great job. The cross-examination of her had us all fuming.
Yep.
Basically, once again, we go back to the victim blaming and the why didn't you call 911? And at one point they even said something to her about you didn't call 911, or you weren't worried about it or whatever, because because they never pointed guns at your sons, did they? And then we were like, oh no, you don't talk to Miss Linda like that. Like, everybody wanted to come through this screen and grab, let me not say violent things. We wanted to turn off her microphone and have a chat with her. That's what we wanted to do with that prosecutor lady. We were, super inappropriate. Super inappropriate. We were so mad.
It's INAPPROIATE. If you ever knew the Mickey Mouse Club, you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was very frustrating. It was frustrating to watch on my side. I just had the pleasure of not being on camera. However, if I was, I would have had a one-finger salute, to be honest with you. And I don't do that very often.
I would totally have Letitia'd her out if I didn't have like 16. What did we have? 1,600 people in chat today or something like that. I think it got up to like 1,640. I would have totally like pulled a Letitia and been like, but I didn't. Yeah. I didn't. So once I contained once I fixed my face and got myself together as much as I could, Travis came on. Now, once again, his account of everything. Oh, I'll get you. I'm squishing you. Yeah. His account of everything lined up, perfectly with the evidence and with the other two credible witnesses who testified, which would be his mom and his brother. So all three of them, their evidence lined up. They asked them a bunch of things out of order. They tried to trip them up. And one thing I'll say is, and this is something I really respected, even when Mark Shriver came back and asked him something about, when the first time the gun was pointed at you, and he even corrected him. Now, he could have let that go, because pointing a gun at you to the jury would have sounded more dramatic than, him pulling a gun and just seeing it. He could have let that go. And Travis was so honest about everything that he even corrected him. And he's like, no, he didn't point it at me yet, but I saw it. I saw him pull it. Right. And I was like, dang it. That's something for him to even correct, like to make sure that there was nothing but the truth out there. That really impressed me. And then his cross started. This is the second day in a row now where or maybe it wasn't in a row. Maybe it was because technically today's, you know what I mean? Today's Monday. You know what I mean? Second court day in a row.
Second business day.
Second business day. Y'all know how I'm about my business days. Where the DA has gotten up there on a cross-examination and victim blamed and and said that bless his heart, poor Travis had said something about, well, he understood her hitting him, and he even said, he deserved it. First of all, that breaks my heart that he said that, and I understand what he's saying.
Right.
Like, nobody deserves that, but I think what I imagine that might have meant was that, he deserved a reaction or expected a reaction, or maybe that's how he meant it. But nobody under any circumstances ever deserves domestic violence. You don't deserve domestic violence. You don't.
Right.
So him saying anything to her or texting another woman or whatever, there's nothing that made him deserve it. And that DA got up there and pulled that testimony and said, so right here, you're saying she didn't say saying, she said, you're admitting that you deserved for her to hit you. And he said, yes, ma'am. I flipped I flipped.
You know what he did by doing that though, right? He cut her legs out from under her because she was going to go that route. And by him saying yes, he shut it completely down and she had to go a completely different route. That does not make it right. And I don't know if he actually feels that or not, but he did indeed totally cancel like 20 minutes of cross by him just saying that. So. And
made her look like a total. All the words I want to say. All the words I want to say. We try not to say here.
Yeah. Well,
it was awful. And I can almost guarantee that, the jury had at least one, victim of, or, survivor of domestic violence on there. And even if it has just one, they would have been, I'm sure, triggered by the same thing. I do know from talking to one of the family members that was in court that apparently the jury was not happy with the cross-examination of Miss Linda either. I know that, I think they were like kind of reacting the same, seemed to be, visibly reacting the same way that a lot of us were. So it's just, you can't just go in there and victim blame and, call the only credible people that have come up there liars and do all that. It was bad. It was bad. So,
well, you got a really good point about, there's got to be at least one person on the jury. I was just kind of looking at some of the Florida stats. I'm not laughing. It's just like 37.9% of Florida women and 29.3% of Florida men. And then nationwide, it's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men. And that's just what's reported, right? And so if there is anybody who is on that jury that has experienced that, I mean, the prosecutor, they should be ashamed of themselves. That's what I'm saying. They need to go sit in the corner, sit down next to John Thomas, and don't get back up.
Yeah. And I know that it's such a common thing. And I know that we have our thing that we show here. And, I got really triggered Friday, with the victim blaming and with the domestic violence. And, I did compose myself a little bit more today, but I got really triggered Friday. And, I texted JT because you get caught in a cycle that you don't realize that you're in. And because you don't label it, you don't say I'm in an abusive relationship. You don't say that I'm, that this is domestic violence. You say that, he lost his temper one time, or he just gets out of control sometimes, or whatever excuse you make, you know what I mean? And so you don't, people are like, well, why don't you just leave? Why didn't you call the police? Why don't you do these things? Because you're in it for so long before you are even able to admit to yourself what it is, because you deny it for so long, and you can't tell anybody else because you're embarrassed, and because you don't want to sound dramatic, and because you don't want, you still love this person, and you don't want everybody else to hate them, because the second you tell them, oh yeah, he punched me, or he threw me down, or he, choked me, or he drug me in another room by my hair. The first time you tell them anything and you say those words out loud, when you say them out loud, you realize how bad it is. And then everybody's going to hate him. And you don't want everybody to hate him because you still love him. So, which I realize, to somebody who's never been through it, sounds like it makes no sense, but that's the reality of it. That's the reality of the cycle of how it happens. So you just get caught in it. So to sit there and say in any capacity that somebody deserves it, or that that's a natural reaction, is bullshit. And I have already written the district attorney's office. I have already tweeted them. I have been tagging them on stuff. I have taken the clips of those moments where now 2 of their attorneys have not only excused it, but basically said it's expected. And I have tagged them on Twitter, sent it. I've done everything. I know that cycle, and I know how hard it is. And if there's anybody who is in that cycle, even if you're not to the point yet where you can admit that you're in the cycle, because I know it takes a while, reach out to me, reach out to anybody. No judgment whatsoever.
Yeah.
Call the, like the link that we put up, like has all the information on it too. Like, do something, because even if you're not ready to admit it, the cycle is there, and there is, help, and you're never to blame for it.
You don't know this yet, but so I've actually asked our best advocate and mod to start putting together kind of a list, and it'll be a list kind of state by state and national and then international of resources that you can go to for various things, and that is included in that domestic violence. And so that will eventually become a separate page on our website, in which it will be one page of listed out contact and kind of what they're for, and hopefully we can reach people with that. Sometimes it's hard to find those things, and so if you can have one central location, that makes all the difference. And so hopefully we can make a little difference with that.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to Advocate for doing that for us.
Yeah,
so.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
this is supposed to be the fun show, but
that's okay.
But I feel like that's so important to get out, because
yes.
this today and Friday, I know triggered a lot of people, and I want to make sure that, that our message is loud and clear, that that's not okay, and that, there's help, and that we love y'all.
Hearts. That was an accidental click, but it worked, huh? Thank you, Amy. We certainly appreciate that, and all the hearts, and some of the drinks, and some of the Kool-Aid, and all of that. So we had Mama Rudolph on the stand, Miss Linda.
She was amazing.
And then we had Travis on the stand. And they
he did exactly
right.
Told the truth, did great. Stayed calm, stayed way calmer than I did, Lord knows.
Yeah. I was definitely concerned about if any of my coworkers or boss walked in, and not because I was watching, but because they would have said something and I might have accidentally snapped at them, just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But he did a great job, and honestly, the prosecution went exactly where we thought they were going to go, and it was frustrating. What's crazy is that I'm so used to watching trials, and when the defense, it pops up for cross, you just
Mhm.
kind of like expect to say to everybody, hey, they're just doing their job. You're not going to like this. It's never been on the other side where I've been like, hey, the prosecution's just doing their job. However, in this case, I might say a little bit more about that, but yeah,
Yeah.
they've chosen to do that. You got Lucy there.
Say
Yeah,
hi, big
Lucy.
girl. Say hi. Say hi. You're the best.
Everybody needs a dog and or a cat. I only have stats on dogs, but research shows that 5 minutes with a dog is better than 20 minutes of meditation. So take that to the bank.
I believe it.
Take that to the bank. Yeah, I am a little bit worried about some of these juror instructions. I don't like this judge sides unnecessarily with the prosecution when he does not have to, and that concerns me to the point in which some of us in the mod side of things, we were looking up who donated to him for his run, and it's a lot of attorneys and some other stuff. So Dilly Pickles has been a member for 1 month. And Dilly Pickles gave the hugging heart and Lucy.
Oh, yay.
Who doesn't?
Thank you, Dilly Pickles. Thank you. Oh, I see Jill C says, I want a goat. I want a goat on a leash. Everybody wants a goat on a leash. Everybody needs a goat on a leash.
Everybody needs it. I don't know if I'd encourage everybody to have one, but
I can see people in my condo looking at me as I walk my goat through the hallways to go downstairs to take him potty. That'd be hilarious.
Tash's Luna also loves flip-flops.
Aw. She loves her new little flip-flop toy, too, that Jennifer Perut got her. She's got it literally right here. She brought it up to my feet just now when she came and walked up to me. She
said, that's mine. That's mine.
Give me that flip-flop. Give me that flip-flop.
Yeah. You know what? This is really interesting. And hey, speaking of a baby goat, Jesse P said that he already dismissed himself from a case after being accused of being biased. And then on top of that, today, and I sent in all caps to you, boo-hoo, was when he complained that he already had to cancel a trial or give it away because this went longer than he thought. Which, sorry, sir, that's just how this works. Also, tell me about it. Planning when we do trials on this show.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then when they were doing jury instructions too, he said something about he was like, oh well, she and I have done a bunch together, so she knows what I'm talking about. Like talking about him and the prosecutor. I'm like, all right now. Like
I'm so glad you're holding that flip-flop and not a hammer.
All right, let me tell you something. He's just like all buddy. That made me mad too.
Kansas has 25 goats. We can walk them down the street and become the goat army. I say we should do this in Palm Springs.
Yes.
And then Melissa said, well, my dogs were asleep.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. No, we're squeaking. Here, take this, Lucy. I got in trouble. Here, I'll take that.
Take it away.
I got in trouble.
Take it away now. That's very true. They thought it was a slam dunk, just like the lead detective did. They all thought it was a slam dunk. I don't think they understood what the court of public opinion will do when you broadcast these things.
Yeah.
So here we are. That's what happens. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello.
One other thing too. I think we need to get y'all's questions in. Anything that you want to ask for. I was going to say anything you want to ask Jodi Arias, but no. Anything you want to ask about Jodi Arias or the trial, get those to us because Kirk is going to be coming on. We're going to be doing the interview with him soon. So any questions that y'all have that you would like to know, anything that you're curious about, get those questions into us so that we can do it. You can email them to JT.
Yeah, sure. Send them to me. You can send them to me at jt@13thjurorpodcast.com. I will get them, drop them in a folder, and we'll list them all out. Gail, you're right. You keep me honest. I continue to get the name wrong.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. For
Totally
some
different
reason,
place.
for some reason, I just don't want to think that it is what it is. I'm not quite sure. But yes, please send me an email with any questions you have. We'd love to crowdsource questions. And it seems like Kirk would love to answer them. I've also just received, I shouldn't reveal that, but I've just received both of his part 1, 2, and 3 of his book, Trapped with Miss Arias. And I will say this, I've read the intro and I already love this book so much. He explain I'll give this much. He explains why it's called Trapped with Miss Arias. And obviously there was that level of trapped, but the reason why he said Miss Arias is because that's a name she absolutely abhors being called. And so he said, well, if you don't like it, here it is.
Let me like put it on the cover of my book for the rest of time to exist. That's hilarious. They weren't friends. They weren't friends. Those two.
Hey Brandi, can you find the just a little bit above is the email for us? Can you pin that to the top of the chat for everybody?
Yeah.
I think somebody asked that.
Yep.
But yeah, Laura, I'd be interested to hear about Juan Martinez's book, and I'd be interested to read it too. That's something I like to do. I like to read both sides. That's what got me into true crime. I read Charles Manson's autobiography, and then I read
Helter Skelter.
Bugliosi. Yeah, and that was fascinating to me. So, yes. So definitely shoot me an email with questions you have. What else? Is there anything else? I don't think so. Last week on Friday, we went through a couple of people. We went through Special Agent Nathan Melendez, who I ruined everybody's thoughts of him because of issues he's had since this trial. Sorry about that, everybody, if you were here last time. We also we heard from forensic scientist Lisa Perry, who talked a lot about blood spatter. A lot. Very impressive, very intelligent. Nan, I do not have a digital copy. I actually ordered the real thing, mostly because I really wanted it on my bookshelf. So I've got the real thing, and I am taking notes, and I might be highlighting, and I might be underlining, and I'm so a little bit of everything. And so we heard from Lisa Perry, and then Detective Flores was recalled, as you might have remembered. And then at the very end of that video, we heard a motion for mistrial. And that was fascinating and ended up being all for naught at all. And I will say this, and I know Brandi's going to be coming back, but coming up next is the investigator's testimony, as well as Detective Michael Melendez as well. And at some point during one of these videos, we are going to get, I believe, the full interrogation. So that's what everybody's been looking for. And I think I kind of went through the video just to check where I might have to cover up the screen, which there's a couple points. But yeah, it's I think it's coming. Which I'm very excited about. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Petrified, are you talking about the mistrial? Yeah, it was a good effort by the defense. It was creative on Kirk's part. I thought it was a point. It did not work, but they have to do that kind of thing. I agree. Oh, geez. Oh, good grief. That is so bright. It's a taco. We're gonna have to mount that on your wall. Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay.
There you go.
I haven't been able to do it yet, but look, I think
it's a taco. I love it.
I got the lightning bolt too, but how funny is this? I've got my devil taco.
The devil taco.
That is
if it starts moving around on the wall by itself, you might need to. No, Lisa, this is. Yes, you got the lightning.
Yes.
Ride lightning.
Grab it by the storm.
Grab it by the storm. Lisa, this is not surprising for America. A neon taco. They will make neon anything, to be honest with you. But yeah. Ashley's eating tacos right now. Are they Satan tacos? Are they Satan tacos? That's what I want to know. We're getting a lot of super nope. Sandra likes the taco. Cute.
So
we need a neon crown for Kathy. Oh my gosh. That would be awesome. Put it behind her. That would be so great. Just like the storm is like right over my head. We'll just put a crown right there.
I love that. Can you tell on the thing too? I don't know if you can tell anything, but it's like the different colors too. It's like the red and the green with the yellow. It's kind of hard to see on camera. I guess you can't really see it on camera. I'll try to take a picture so that you can actually see the colors on it. And I'll tweet it out.
Satan tacos with that fire sauce.
So funny.
Oh gosh, I know. I think that's pretty much it for the catch up. Are you sticking around for a little bit?
No.
I didn't think so.
I am going to lurk because I am so tired of sitting in this chair. So I'm going to lurk, and I was actually just napping before we came on, and I woke up and I was like, oh crap, we go on in 5 minutes. So I ran over here, which is why I look like this. So I am going to go lay down and just lurk. So, but I love y'all, and I'll be listening. I'll be watching. I'll be around.
Yeah.
Not creepy at all.
No.
But I will see y'all tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, 13 jurors. Bye, 13 jurors. Love y'all.
Bye, Brandi. Ba-ba-da. Oh, now you're stuck with me. Well, sugar. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just kind of, get started because there's two videos here that are a little longer. The second one's a lot longer than the first one, and there is a big day tomorrow for everybody who likes to do the morning stuff and the day court, which of course I do too. But we're gonna go ahead and get going on this. Let me make sure that I have the right one. I do. Okay, so this is Officer Kevin Friedman. His name is Officer Kevin Friedman. I will put him here and add a banner so that you know. And yeah, let's get started. It's night court time with Jodi Arias.
Presence of the defendant and all counsel. The jury is not present. Counsel, you wanted to speak before we brought the jury in.
Judge, we're requesting a stay. We had requested proceedings. And if I may approach.
You may.
This was e-filed this morning. This relates to any potential aggravation phase that may be forthcoming in this trial.
I take her seriously, no matter what she says. I believe it. She just looks so reasonable.
Mr. Martinez.
The state would object to the request for the stay.
Well, of course.
There really is no good reason. People can give any reason they want, but there's no good reason to grant the stay. Additionally, the state, and this, I was just handed this right now, but the state disputes the factual allegations in the defendant's request for the stay. He's, I believe, mischaracterizing Detective Flores's statement and testimony, and so I do not see a reason for the stay.
Mr. Nervi, anything else?
No, Your Honor, we will stand on the written pleading.
All right, the request for stay proceedings is denied at this time.
Oh,
I believe that there is adequate time for you to pursue your remedy before we get to that point in the proceedings, if we get to that point in the proceedings. Anything else?
They turned her up way up.
There was some coverage, including some printed coverage in this case over the the weekend. So I would ask that you inquire of the jurors whether or not they saw anything, and then, of course, continue to advise them of the admonition.
Any objection?
No objection. There's coverage every day, but certainly over the weekend, it's appropriate. We have no objection to it.
All right, I will do that. Let's bring in the jury. Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Did any of you see any media coverage of this case over the weekend or at any other time?
How could you not?
I see no hands. The state may call its next witness.
The state calls Kevin Friedman.
Night.
Your name, sir?
I'm Officer Kevin Friedman. That's Friedman.
And who do you work for?
The Wairika Police Department.
How long have you been a police officer with the Wairika Police Department?
About 6.5 years.
Drawing your attention back to May 28th of
He is wide-eyed and
2008.
bushy-tailed.
Were you working sometime after noon of that day?
Yes, I was.
And what are your duties as a police officer with the Wairika Police Department?
At that time and still today, I was assigned to patrol. So we patrol, and then if any calls come in, we respond to whatever calls occur.
And did a call come in for service sometime after 1 o'clock in the afternoon of May 28th of 2008?
Yes.
And where were you asked to respond to?
I was told to respond to 352 Pine Street in Wairika.
And what kind of call were you responding to?
Dispatch informed me I was responding to a cold burglary.
When they say cold, what does that mean?
Means it's been discovered. It doesn't appear to be in progress. It happened sometime in the past.
And that means that somebody reported it, and you were going out there specifically in this case, right?
Yes, sir.
What time did you get to the Pine Street address?
Approximately 3:40 p.m.
And when you got there, did you talk to anybody? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did you talk to one person, two people? How many people?
When I first initially arrived there, I spoke with 2 people.
And the 2 people, what are their names?
It was Caroline and Carlton Allen was her last name.
And are you familiar with the term reporting party?
Yes.
Were they the reporting parties?
Yes, they were.
And as part of this investigation, did you then start looking around to see, for example, if there was a point of entry?
Yes, I did.
And did you discover a point of entry?
Yes.
And where was the point of entry in relationship, let's say, to the front door?
I would have been, the front door faces west. It would have been on the
No
south side of the
forgiveness
building.
needed.
So if we take a look at exhibit 317, if there's too much glare, let me know.
I can see it.
You're right. I'm unhappy
if
now.
you would have-
Oh, let me just.
Unhappy.
It's distracting. Because I don't know.
Frank.
All right.
In relation to this picture of the front door, you would go to the right, you'd walk around to that side of the building to the right of this.
So is it on this side or is it on this side?
It'd be on the other side. Yes, the way your pen is pointing.
And what kind of door was it?
It was a exterior door that led to an enclosed patio or porch area.
And in terms of the door, describe the security or locking mechanism associated with it.
When I found the door, it appeared to have a doorknob on it or something like that. Upon inspection, it was more of just a handle. There was no actual latch mechanism to the doorknob.
So the doorknob is just something that can never be locked, right?
Yes, it appeared that way.
And so how does that door get locked?
There was there was a cross, I guess I'd call it a cross bolt. It's a rod, a small rod that you can slide into a hole in the door jamb from the door.
What was the weather like that day?
It was raining.
And in terms of the rain in the area that you were looking at, Was there any effect of the weather on the entry area?
There's a lot going on in this
Muddy?
house. You'll
Was
see it.
Explain to me what was going on.
The outside, pretty much everywhere outside was muddy to some extent. Near that door, it was actually a thin layer of just very wet mud.
And as you walked in, were you able to see any mud inside, or was there no mud inside?
I believe we found some mud that had been carried inside.
And why is it that you determined that this door that's to this direction of the evaporative cooler, why did you determine that that was the point of entry?
The
It had been
evaporative
damaged
cooler.
and appeared to have been kicked in.
There was some force that was applied to it, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me show you some photographs. Take a look at exhibit 332 through 337. See if you recognize
Yes, I recognize those.
that. Are those true and accurate depictions of the area showing the force entry into this home back on May 28th of 2008?
Yes, they are.
Look for the admission of exhibits 332 through 337.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibits 332 through 337 are admitted.
Let's take a look at the photographs.
He
Exhibit
does look
number
comfy. Also, I really, really like the blue shirt.
332.
It's a nice shirt.
What are we looking at there?
That's going to be the point of entry door on the south side of the building. That photograph was taken by me from inside the covered porch towards the outside of the door that was broken.
And what is this right here?
That is a travel trailer.
And in terms of whether or not it would obscure the view of somebody in this particular area, would it, given where it was parked, would it obscure the view or alter or in a way prevent somebody from viewing what was going on near the door? This item, this trailer, whatever it is back there.
Yes, I believe it would.
Oh, he
And
hated her so much. Jodi.
this right here,
I
what
don't
is
know
that
if it had to
right
do with the
there?
other woman.
That's part of the door jamb or the door molding.
And this appears to be some damage there. Was there some damage to it there?
Yes, it was broken almost in half lengthwise.
Is there any other damage to the door other than this right here at the entry?
I don't recall. There may have been slight inside of the door jamb, but that was the board that was most damaged.
And exhibit 333, what are we looking at there?
That's going to be from a view from that covered patio to the door leading into the kitchen area of the residence.
And this is the entry point, correct?
Yes, it was.
Exhibit number 334. What do we see here?
That's the piece of the other piece of the door jamb board that was broken off.
So it was broken off here, and then the other piece was right there, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in looking at this inside, can you tell whether or not there's any mud here or not?
I don't see any right there.
Jodi's
It was
home
a
in
dirty
Eureka,
floor, but
California.
There was no obvious amounts of mud.
Right?
I don't understand. This is just describes to
Exhibit
me
number
just how much
336.
she portrayed something
What is
that
that?
she was not.
I believe that's an additional photo of
But also,
the entry
there's
point
plenty
on
of
the
other
south side
reasons
of the
that could have
building
happened.
into the covered patio.
yeah.
And it shows us some items that might have been hanging there.
Yes, it does.
Did you have occasion to know what was in this white plastic bag?
It appears to be recyclables, such as aluminum cans.
Sorry.
And
why
you know
Rika?
whether or not, if aluminum
Thanks,
cans
Carmen.
are taken in, whether or not you can get money for them.
Yes, you can.
And exhibit number 335, what are we looking at there?
I believe that's just more of a close-up of the door jamb that was broken.
Once you got inside the house, did you look through the whole house? Where did you go first?
Initially, I made contact with the RPs and went to areas where they stated things that were missing.
And where did you start looking?
I believe the first place we began looking was initially in the living room where I made contact with them.
Oh,
right.
for sure. She is embarrassed. For sure.
Let
I'll
me
have to
show
look that
you
up.
exhibit number. .328 and 327. Take a look at those. Familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
What is that?
The 327 is a photograph of a television that we believed had been moved during the theft of a DVD player. Picture 328 is of the area where the DVD player had previously been.
And what part of the house was that?
This was in the living room.
Is this closer to the door or not? Front door.
It's close to the front door, the door you showed a picture of at the beginning with the address above it.
All right. Move for the admission of exhibits number 327 and 328.
There is no good place
Exhibit
for me to go.
327 and Exhibit 328 are admitted.
Let's try here and see what happens. Just like the portal. You guys know this about me. I like the portal. It does look pretty rough. It
Exhibit number
does look pretty rough.
328.
See, now I'm blocked by that. There's no way.
And the DVD player, was it on top? Where was it?
The DVD player was on top of the entertainment center towards the mirror. It'd be on the side closest to the where I was when I took the photograph, in that area.
And this down here is what?
That is the television
And
that it was attached to or hooked to.
exhibit 327 is what?
We took that photograph of some fingerprints or marks that were left on the front of the TV that we believed were very recent.
Were you able to lift any latent fingerprints from this area?
No, we were
Going
not.
back.
Why not?
I'm just
They
going
were,
back.
Too smudged.
I'm not moving again.
And the dust had soaked up a lot of the oil. So when we attempted to lift them, it did not work.
So it appeared that it was just too dusty for you to get anything out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's her grandparents' house.
After this particular room, where did
I
you
believe
go?
she lived there.
I was told a firearm was missing.
And so did you go to another room?
Yes, I asked where it had been
Yes.
located, and they directed me to
I'm
another.
responding.
I believe it was a bedroom, but it kind of looked more like they stored stuff there and nobody actually lived in the room.
It's her
And
grandparents'
taking a
house.
look at exhibit 317, we've
And
looked
she
at something in the
staged a
front
robbery
room. In
to take the
relationship
gun.
to this, where would the other room be?
Be straight through that door, through the living room. I believe it was a left door just as you entered the kitchen or dining room area. It may have been just prior to or just after
I'm
that
not moving again.
entryway.
I promise.
And when you were there, what item was involved in this burglary?
Objection, closed for hearsay.
Brandi said she wanted to grab Lucy's toy and hit me like a whack-a-mole because I'm moving around.
Moving
again.
that particular room, what did you write in your report that was missing from that room?
I wrote in my report that a small 25 caliber handgun, approximately 3 to 4 inches tall by 3 to 4 inches long, the black,
What had been taken, right?
yes, black handle had been taken.
And during the burglary, correct?
Yes.
Take a look at exhibits 323 through 326 and see if you are familiar with what's depicted there.
Yes, I'm familiar.
What is shown in those photographs?
These photographs are the area the handgun had been, and just what was in the room when I entered that room during my investigation.
And you took these photographs back on May 28, 2008, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
I move for the admission of exhibits 323 through 326.
Ooh, look at that. Look at the bailiff back. Look at this fella. He's both falling asleep. Oh, he's falling asleep. Oh my God. The eyes
No
are
objection.
heavy.
Exhibits 323 through 326 are admitted.
Take a look at 326.
It was from her grandparents' house. She stole the gun, and then she stole
Describe
a
for
little bit
me
of her
what
own money
the,
to take them off the
I
scent.
guess this, not the area, but what's holding the items in. Describe it for me.
I described it in my report as a dresser, but
I
it's
didn't take my own.
essentially a dresser that had been changed into some sort of gun cabinet.
And what are these right here?
Those are gun cases containing guns.
And how many guns do you, there's three. Is this also a gun here?
No, that was a piece of metal or wood, I don't recall. But there are three guns in those three cases.
Exhibit
Very
number
secure place to keep your guns.
325.
You know
We're
what?
looking at an area, yes or no,
Good casting.
above the gun cases, correct?
Yes, it's an upper shelf.
And does this appliance or household item or storage area, does this have a door that closes this off?
Yes, it does. It has
Describe how it's kept. Is it locked, not locked? Describe for me how that's kept.
It didn't appear to have a lock. If I recall, it had a piece of string hanging from it. It may have been tied shut, but it was, while I was there, I was able to shut it and it stayed mostly shut.
So, but as you were standing there, did you see, for example, a lock to keep it locked or anything like that?
Did not see any lock or outside latch.
And you could close it and open it at will, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Did you attempt to get any fingerprints from this?
I believe, I did not actually attempt in that room. Another officer worked that room
Okay,
for the fingerprints. I worked the main investigation.
all right. Exhibit number 324, what are we looking at here?
That is the top of that dresser or gun cabinet that the guns were in.
And this right here is what?
That's the doors.
It does say Sonny Allen on there. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
And what are these items that are here?
There was a large amount of quarters. It may have been some 50-cent pieces, but I do recall it's mostly quarters, a large amount of them on top of
That's a
that.
good question.
Trust me.
I wrote it down.
And exhibit number 323,
Yes, that's a closer photograph or a
Somebody
zoomed in
needs a piggy
photograph
bank.
of that exact area and the large amount of quarters sitting on top of the dresser or gun cabinet.
Going to play the slots.
so
Going
far
to
we've
play
looked at the
slots.
front room. There was one item reported stolen there, right?
Yes,
We've looked at this area here, and there was one item reported stolen there, correct?
yes.
While you were conducting this investigation, and you said you went out there at what time?
It's approximately 3:40 p.m.
3:40? Let me show you a report and see if that's, you did go there at 3:40. Do you know when you received the call?
Just according to my dispatch, I mean, I know it was approximately 10 minutes prior to my arrival.
So it wasn't a long lag time or anything like that, correct?
No, it was not.
While you were there, was there somebody else that showed up?
Yes, another officer.
And was there somebody else who lived in that house that showed up?
Yes.
At what time?
It would be a guess approximately 15 minutes after my arrival.
So if you arrived there at about 3:40, 3:45, this other person would have arrived around 4 o'clock.
Yes.
And that
approximately.
person that arrived, what was his or her name?
It was Jodi Arias.
And is Jodi Arias in the courtroom today?
Yes, she is.
Tell me where she is seated and what she is wearing.
She's seated near the defense attorneys. It's a
Wearing the
greenish
same thing as the
tan,
defense attorney.
top with eyeglasses, brown hair.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the identification of the defendant?
Yes.
So she showed up, and when she showed up, did you talk to her?
Yes, I did.
And did you talk to her about any items that might have been missing?
Yes, I did.
And
Hard.
first,
Yeah.
tell us what she told you when she first got there. What did she say?
She checked her room or living area in the residence and discovered some money was
So
missing.
she went in, right?
Yes, she entered.
Did you go in there with her?
I believe I was standing in the doorway.
Right, so she went in there, and when she went in there, did you and she begin to have a conversation?
Yes.
Okay, what did she say to you, rather than telling me what, in summary fashion? What did she say?
That a $20 bill and a $10 bill were missing from a short or small dresser or bedstand in the room.
Okay, what else did she say?
She also looked through all the drawers that were open. There was numerous open ones. Stated she didn't find anything else missing. And then she informed me that she had found her laptop and it had not been stolen.
You want me to ruin life?
And where was the laptop?
I don't know.
It was in
I got
the under clothes in a clothes basket.
And did she tell you anything about why it was that the laptop was in this clothes basket buried underneath these clothes?
She stated she had placed it there normally to keep it safe, so it would not be stolen.
Let's take a look at exhibits 337 through 340.
I'm familiar with these photos.
And these photographs, are they true and accurate depictions of the defendant's room as it existed back on May 28th of 2008?
Yes.
Move for the admission of exhibits 337 to 340.
No objection.
337 through 340 are admitted.
While you were talking to the defendant, did she ever indicate the time that she had last been in the home prior to coming back?
Yes, she did. I believe she stated it was approximately 1 p.m. is when she left the residence that day.
So she left at 1 p.m. and you were out there by approximately 3:40 p.m., correct?
Yes.
Let's take a look at these photographs. Exhibit number 337. What do we see here?
That is the dresser the money was on top of.
This is where
I
she
can't find
claimed it
anything
was.
about
She
this
told
fellow.
you that it
Yeah,
was, right?
that she
So-
told me it was.
And she told you
He's
it was
good?
how much money?
One $20 bill and a $10 bill.
And in terms of the drawers, this is how you found them, correct?
Yes, it was.
Pointing out
And
the fact that she doesn't even close her door.
What is this laundry basket? What's the significance of that?
That's the laundry basket she indicated her laptop was hidden in.
And here's, did you actually see that the laptop was there or not? Did she go looking at it? or not?
I
And
know she
by-
removed it while it was there. I didn't actually see it come directly out of the clothes basket.
Exhibit number 338. What are we looking at there?
That's a dresser also in her room.
And this appears to only have one of the drawers open, right?
Yes, I believe the top two were slightly ajar, but that one's actually open to where you can see in it.
Were you able to look inside these drawers to see whether or not things were just disarrayed or thrown about inside, or were you not able to look inside?
I looked inside some of them. A couple appeared to be in disarray and a couple just appeared to have been open to be viewed.
And no matter how much she moves, her hair does not
And exhibit number 340, what are we looking at there?
It's another dresser in that bedroom.
Let me focus it in a little bit. And again, are just these three open, or were all of them open? Did you look at those?
That was the
Everybody making
only,
the
I
same
mean, that's
face as me,
exactly
just
how I
like,
found it. So that it appeared that only 3 were left open.
And exhibit 339, what are we looking at there?
That was a file, a cabinet with the top drawer open.
Was there another room where you went to look to see whether or not there, or to photograph because of an indication that something was missing?
Yes, it was the main bedroom. It was on the far east side of the residence.
But that was not the room that you were in with the defendant when
Wrong
she
answer.
indicated that she had
Answers only.
$30 missing, right?
Yes, it was a different room.
Exhibit 331, take a look at that.
That's funny.
Yes, I recognize it.
And is that the area in the room that you were looking at?
Yes, that was a long dresser in the master bedroom.
And is there a reason why you took this photograph?
Yes, it was reported a stereo used to be at that location directly next to the TV.
Okay. I move to the admission of exhibit 331.
331 is admitted.
And this area here, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, as I understand it, from this room, there was one item taken, correct?
Yes, sir.
From the room with the guns, there was one item taken, a gun.
Yes, sir.
From the front room, there was one item taken, which was a DVD player.
Yes, sir.
And from the defendant's room, there was also one item taken in the form of money, right?
Yes.
Well, that's
So there
not
was
a
4 rooms, 4
fine
items taken.
fish.
Yes.
It makes
Have you
sense.
ever responded to other burglaries during your career as a police officer?
Yes, I've responded to many.
Many, did you put a number on them?
Probably
She lags a
50 to
lot.
60.
Anything unusual about this particular burglary on May 28th of 2008? You believe was unusual?
Yes, I believed it was unusual that small items worth money or money, for instance, the change was not taken. I also thought it was strange that only one of the firearms was stolen from the cabinet.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Morning, officer.
Good
It's
morning.
weird. It's weird they didn't take the change.
Your report was taken on the 28th of May, 2008, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we spoke a while back, and you had told me that there was a rash of burglaries in the Wairika area around that time. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Could you explain that to us?
There had been more than usual. We're a small town. There had been, a rash of burglaries in our town could be 2 or 3 in a row.
Okay.
We had a few burglaries around that time. Yes.
Okay. And we're talking, just so we're clear, we're talking home burglaries, correct?
Yes, residential. Yes.
Okay. Now, specifically drawn to your attention to the call you responded to on the 28th to the Allen home. You mentioned a couple things. You mentioned that there was mud carried inside. Where was that, if you recall?
I don't really recall much. Like I said, it was on the back patio. There was a decent amount of dirt. There appeared to be some sort of wet mud directly inside the door and on the outside of the door.
Okay. So when you say carried inside, was it further inside the home or just near the door?
I did not see any past that, maybe first couple feet into the covered patio.
Okay. And we're talking, when you see you use the word carried, you mean carried by footprints?
Yes, yes, a scuff mark that appeared to be a footprint.
Okay. Now, the other thing you were asked about, you were shown what appears to be a garbage bag full of aluminum cans, and you were asked if that was worth any money.
Yes.
Call that.
It's
Do you have any
hairspray.
idea what the going rate for recycled aluminum was in Wairika at that time?
No, I do not.
Probably not very much.
I really couldn't say.
Okay.
Good night.
Drawing your attention, I believe, to what you called the gun cabinet,
Yes.
makeshift gun cabinet. You mentioned that there was no lock on it.
Not that I saw.
Okay. Did you see any mechanism? Sometimes there's a latch, maybe where somebody would put a padlock on, something of that nature.
I don't recall if there was anything like that.
Okay. So based on, and you didn't see any locks nearby, anything of that nature?
Not that I
Any,
recall.
no cut locks? That certainly would have been
No, I
something.
did not find any forced entry into the cabinet.
Okay. And so then based on what you're telling us, if I understood you correctly, then anyone who lived inside the home could just walk to that cabinet and open it up and gain access to all the contents.
Yes.
Okay. And without having to disturb anything, break any locks, anything of that nature.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Involving the rash of burglaries that you described or that you talked to defense counsel about, and I think you attempted to quantify them. How many did you say that rash was?
There was a few. I couldn't really say the exact number. That was 4 years ago, but I recall at least 2 or 3.
And of the rash of burglaries that you just talked about and that you went out to, were they as unusual as the burglary that had taken place on Pine Street, or the alleged burglary on Pine Street?
No, they were not.
Why? How were they different, and why do you say that they were different?
In the main one that I recall, Officer Dirksen and I both responded to that one also. It was a residential burglary, and it was the same thing, a forced entry into the residence, but everything of value that the person could get at the time was missing. There was at least
You're
4 or
not
5
wrong.
guns or firearms
You're
taken
not
from that
wrong.
one, and it was, I believe, every firearm in the house in that location.
One of the
Murder
other things
was
that you were asked about was
2008.
whether or
This was
not the
January
gun
2013
had
to
a locking
May
mechanism in it. Correct.
2013.
Yes.
In terms of the handguns that we saw standing there, were they bolted down, or could somebody just have come in and taken those just like they took the 25 caliber?
They were just set inside the cabinet.
I don't have any other questions.
Any questions from the jury? It looks like we have one.
We got
Any
the
other
questions
questions?
basket. Here's the mail.
Counsel,
it
please
never
approach.
fails. It makes me want to wag
Thank
my
you. You may
tail.
step down. The state may call its next witness.
Calls Esteban Flores.
Detective, you
Oh,
are
he's
still on the
back.
road. Do you understand?
He's back.
Your name, sir? Esteban Flores. And you're saying the individual who testified previously, correct?
Yes, I am.
Did you have occasion, as part of the investigation in this case, to travel up to Wairika, California?
Yes, I did.
And as part of that travel, did you have occasion to come in contact with somebody by the name of Jodi Arias?
Yes,
And did you have occasion to come in contact with her after she had been placed under arrest?
yes,
Is Jodi Arias the
question.
person that you came in contact with? Is she in court today?
yes, she is.
Tell me where she is seated and what she is wearing.
She's sitting at the defense table on the end. She's wearing a tan color, greenish color, long sleeve shirt and glasses.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the identification of the defendant?
Yes.
And as part of the investigation, did you have occasion to sit down and talk to the defendant about the killing of Travis Alexander?
Yes, I did.
And as part of that conversation, did you also talk to her about this 25 caliber handgun that had been ostensibly taken during a burglary?
Yes,
Exhibits 343, 344, and 345. Do these contain the excerpts of your conversation with the defendant involving the alleged theft of the 25 caliber handgun?
Ooh, those sounds. Oh.
yes, they do.
I move for the admission of exhibits number 343, 344, and 345.
I think that's about right. I'm trying to figure it out.
Exhibits 343, 344, and 345 are admitted.
And your conversation with her was audio and videotape, correct?
Yes, it was.
May 28th was the robbery. June 4th. Yeah, so about two weeks, a week. Hello, sir.
This is exhibit number 343.
It shows you that you has reported a gun stolen. 25 auto. Just happens to be the same caliber as the weapon used to kill him.
A 25 auto was used to capture this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, along with multiple stab wounds.
Let's take a viewing of exhibit 344.
She said, what? It was the same type of gun? Oh my God.
Find the gun? Maybe that would...
Jodi, we're just playing games here.
We're playing games.
That gun was in your possession. When did you report it stolen?
I didn't even know that there were guns until my grandparents reported it stolen the day that their house was broken into.
When was that?
I don't remember. It was
A
few
week
months ago,
before
maybe.
or two?
What did you do with the gun?
I don't have a gun.
And exhibit 345.
Have you ever shot that 25 auto?
Mhm.
Have you ever touched it?
The one that was stolen? I've never seen it.
Hiding behind the hair.
My good grandpa said it looks like a toy one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what a 25 looks like.
Sir, prior to having this conversation with the defendant, did you advise her of the so-called Miranda warnings?
Yes, I did.
And those were also
Liar face.
audio and videotape, correct?
Yes.
Let me show you exhibit 346. Is this the portion of the statement that contains your advisement to her of the Miranda rights?
Yes, I believe so.
And was this, again, part of the same conversation that we've just taken a look at, those three excerpts?
Yes.
And that was back on July 15th of 2000, I'm sorry, yes, it is, 2008.
2008, yes.
And where was this, in Wairika?
In Wairika.
Move for the admission of exhibit
Yep.
346.
No objection.
Somebody's feeling
346 is
vulnerable.
admitted.
And you're considered under arrest or detained. You're not free to go. And I'm a police officer. I have to read you your rights. Okay. I'm sure you've heard them on TV. You know, I have to read them off this little card here. They're pretty much the same, and I'll explain them to you as we go. Okay. Let's see. This is July 15, 2008, correct?
Yes.
Let me see what time it is here. It's 10:01.
They showed it in this trial. We're going to show it here.
December 2008, 161, 0844. Okay. You do have the right to remain silent. Okay. Anything you say may be used against you in the court of law.
But not the
You
ability.
have the right to the presence of an attorney to assist you prior to questioning, to be with you during questioning if you so desire. If you cannot afford an attorney, you have the right to have an attorney appointed for you prior to questioning. You understand these rights?
Yes.
And what I'm going to do is just ask you some questions, ask you what you've been doing, you know, certain dates, what you were up to.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were traveling on some of these dates.
I travel.
I want to kind of clarify some of these things.
I'm one of them.
You know, if there's a question that you don't want to answer, you don't feel comfortable, you can say no, you know, or, you know, you can elaborate as much as you want. It's completely up to you. It's at your speed.
Public.
I don't have any other questions at this time.
Cross-examination?
Yeah, so they're not going to show the whole thing right now, but they are going to show the whole thing.
What I'm about to hand you is Exhibit 252. For the record, that is a transcript of the interview you had with Ms.
Don't worry,
Arias
we'll
on
get to the
July
whole thing.
15th. If you need to refer to this, please let us know.
Next video. This guy, did he get paid by the hour, by the appearance? Because he is always here.
What I want to do here this morning is ask you some questions about this interview that we didn't see in the videos. Okay? During this interview, Miss Arias was trying to protect Mr. Alexander's image, wasn't she?
Objection, speculation.
Approach, please.
Detective, did Miss Arias make any statements about being interested in protecting Mr. Alexander's image?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Do you remember what those were or how that came up?
Not specifically.
Okay. I draw your attention to page 8, line 16.
Right.
Just read around that area and maybe see if that'll help refresh your memory about the context of that.
Okay.
Does that help give some context for you about how that issue came up?
Talking about their spirituality and their religion and so forth.
It seems to me like during this interview that you wanted her to open up about Mr. Alexander. Is that correct?
Of course, yes.
You made a comment about him being Mr. Alexander, betraying himself to be a certain way, but that he was really not. Do you recall asking her that?
Objection.
I don't.
Hearsay, lack of foundation.
Sustained is phrased, rephrase.
I don't recall that particular statement. Sorry.
So why don't I, again, if you could be so kind as to look at page 23, line 6 of the exhibit I handed you.
Wiggity wiggity wig time.
What line again?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Did you say line 6?
Yes, page 23, line 6.
Okay.
You discussed him portraying himself as having a lot of.
Different way of hearsay, lack of foundation.
I may be going back a question or two because I forget where we're at, but having read that, do you recall making the question or comment to Miss Arias that Mr. Alexander portrays himself a certain way, but he's really not?
Yeah, I do remember something similar to that, yes.
Okay. And one of the examples it appears you use is that he portrayed himself to have a lot of money, but he didn't. Is that, you recall that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Sure didn't. Let's just go to this. Hold on. Thank you.
You also made the comment to Miss Arias that you guys, I suspect, and you can draw it, maybe perhaps let's do it this way. Let's draw your attention to page 30, line 10 of that transcript.
Objection, improper impeachment. And he hasn't indicated that he doesn't remember. I think he has to ask the question first.
Ask the question. Detective, don't answer the question until I hear further objection.
Okay. You made a comment, Detective. Obviously, you guys kept this relationship hidden. Before we get any further, I would assume, and if you need to refresh your recollection, that you guys is referring to Mr. Alexander and Miss Arias. Is that correct?
I was referring to them, yes.
Is there any objection to that?
Question.
Question, which one is he going to answer first?
All right, break it down.
Depending on that, depends on
You
whether
made
I
a
have,
reference to you guys kept this relationship hidden, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know to whom that you were referring when you said that?
To Miss Arias and Mr. Travis Alexander.
Okay. And you said you guys kept this relationship hidden from everybody else Because nobody really knew about it, right?
Yes.
Okay. You also made the comment that maybe you were going there just to talk to him, have a good time, and something got out of hand, correct?
I don't remember that specifically.
Okay. Let me draw your attention then to page 55, line 5 of that transcript. Now, do you recall saying that statement?
As far as this transcript says, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're not disputing that. It's something very similar to that, right?
I'd prefer to see the video if you had
Okay.
it, because
Okay.
that way I would know exactly what I was saying. I don't know who prepared this transcript.
Okay, we can do that later then. Do you recall saying to Ms. Arias, you don't look like the person that would plan something like this, you're just not that person? Do you recall saying that?
That sounds familiar. That sounds familiar.
Okay. I believe that's all the questions I have for now, Judge. Thank you.
Honestly,
Redirect.
the watch that's on Kirk's wrist, I
Sir,
think
these are
only
just-
he can pull that off. The size of that watch is massive.
Yes. And with regard to the last statement, for example, was that your belief or was that a technique?
It was a technique.
And what was it that you were trying to get as part of your investigation here?
I was trying to get the truth from Miss Arias.
In other words, as to whether or not she had killed Mr. Alexander, correct?
Yes.
And so when you said to her something about you guys kept it hidden, was that part of the technique?
Yes.
And this issue about whether or not his finances were an issue, again, was that a technique?
Yes, it was.
And in terms of how the crime was planned and who did what, was that also a technique?
Yes.
I don't have anything else.
Any questions from the jury for this witness? Thank you. You may step down. Mr. Martinez?
For now.
Melendez?
All right.
Record
There's your
will show the
first one.
presence of the
There's the first one. All right. Let me make sure I got the right next one. Yes, Michael Melendez. He's next. We're gonna move right on into it.
Sure, it's Michael Melendez, Melendez.
And who do you work for?
Mesa Police Department.
Drawing your attention back to June of
It's such a low
2008. Were you also employed by the Mesa Police Department?
Yes,
It's just really
And
big.
what did you do for them back in June of 2008?
I was assigned to the computer forensics unit as a detective.
And being assigned there, what is it that you would do?
I conducted examinations of computer-related evidence, and also
Not yet.
I collected
We're getting
that
there.
evidence.
When you say that you conducted examinations of computer-related evidence, why don't you tell me what that involved?
Basically, what I would do is initially collect the evidence. Then I would do a forensic examination of that evidence. I would connect it to what we call write blockers so that the evidence will not be altered.
Oh, hey.
Then
be really
after that
helpful
point, I'll
if I
make an
actually,
image of
you
that
know,
evidence with
did that.
software.
Huh?
And
Sorry,
then I
everybody.
would analyze that evidence, look through it.
Jeez.
So that I understand
Thank
it,
you.
let's say that you received a computer, for example.
Yes.
And when you receive the computer, what is the first step that you would take in your job back then?
If it was a tower, meaning like a desktop, like a tower, I would remove the hard drive. That would be the first step that I would take,
Why would you remove the hard drive?
because that's what I'm going to examine, not the tower itself. I would be examining the drive.
And why would you examine the hard drive? What is it? Why are you
That's where all
interested
the
in?
data,
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Why would you examine the hard drive? Why would you be interested in that as opposed to the monitor itself?
Because the hard drive is where all the data is contained and
And
stored.
so how would you go about doing that? Now you have the hard drive, and what would you do with it?
I would connect the hard drive to what we call write blocker. It's hardware that prevents when the drive is connected to my computer that I use for my examinations, it prevents the computer from altering the drive.
Okay, so you connect it to something to stop the computer from altering the drive, and then what do you do?
Then at that time, I used forensic software, which I was using NCASE at that time, to make an exact copy of that drive.
And why would you make an exact copy of the drive?
The purpose is so that I could work off of the copy instead of the actual drive.
And why?
Because you don't want to alter the drive, so we can't really do anything as far as the information that's on the drive to
Update it
look at it,
now.
because then it will be altered.
So the original is kept in pristine form then? correct?
Yes,
And then you actually conduct your work on the image that you made of it, right?
yes,
Are you familiar with the term mirror image?
yes.
And what is that?
It's an exact image like a mirror.
Right. So in this case, in your process, is that what you work with, the mirror image of the hard drive?
Yes, I did.
And what is it that you do? What is it that you do, or what is it that you're looking for? What are the processes that you undertake with regard to that mirror image in this hypothetical hard drive from a computer?
Well, initially you use the software. I would look at if it's a hard drive from a computer, I would look for information as to the user account information.
It reminds me of
the
this guy
last
from The
time that the
Office.
computer was shut down, time
I
of day.
don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong.
Then
You guys
any
can
other
tell me if
data
I'm wrong
that's
or
in
not,
that
but
computer.
he just reminds me of him.
Did
Oscar
you,
Nunez.
as part of working in that area, did you also have occasion to work with cameras?
Yes.
And given what you've just told us about the hard drive, is there anything in cameras that is analogous or similar to a hard drive in a computer?
It usually contains a memory card in it.
So is that yes? There is something similar to it?
Yes.
And that's called what?
It depends on the camera. It could be an SD card. It could be a stick they refer to as a memory stick.
All right, and with regard to a memory stick or a card, what is the process that you undertake to try to see what's in there?
It's a similar process. I will have to connect it to a write blocker. Not directly though, it will be connected to a card reader that has a USB cord on it, and I'll connect the USB to the hard write blocker.
Would you also make a mirror image of that or not?
I would,
And then would you work with the mirror image?
yes,
And then you would apply whatever software is available to take a look at what was in there, correct?
yes, that's correct.
To get back to the computer, there was a computer that you worked on in this case, right?
A laptop, I believe there were 2 laptops in the
So
computer.
the answer is yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And what is it that you worked on, sir?
I worked on a laptop initially.
With regard to, again, with the computer, you're familiar with how, obviously with the way a user goes about using these, in the sense that if they're done with something, they hit the delete button and away it goes off your screen, right?
Yes,
And then if you hit another delete button after it's in the trash or the deleted folder, it's further deleted, right?
yes,
Just because an item is deleted, does that mean that it's gone from this hard drive on the computer?
no, it does not.
What happens to it? Explain to me what happens to this deleted item that has now been deleted from when it first came in, then from the deleted items category or folder.
What happens is when you have a computer, you have an operating system. In most cases, people have Windows computers, so it'll be XP, Vista, whatever the new one is now, I think Windows 8. You have an operating system. When you delete something, the operating system is stating that that area that was assigned to that file is now available for new files to be put in that area.
All right. So what happens to the deleted item? What happens?
It stays there until a new file overwrites it, takes its place.
So is there empty space out there where this deleted item goes to?
There are areas of the drive where the deleted item is sitting at, and it stays there until you say, I want
So
to add.
the answer is yes, yes, it does go, it can
Yes,
go.
yes.
And then you want to tell me that it stays there for a long time, right?
It can, yes,
Until something else comes along to override it.
yes.
When you say override, what does that mean?
That basically means what I'm trying to say is that if let's say we look at a file cabinet and you have a bunch of folders in that file cabinet,
Right.
and you don't want to use whatever's in that folder at this time in those files, and you may say, well, I'm going to leave it there until I need that room for the new files. Now you have a bunch of new files that you need somewhere to put them. Then you will take out those old files, pull them out and replace them with the new ones. Then whatever was in those old files now is gone.
Okay.
And that's what overwriting means, basically.
Could there be a point where whatever was in these files out there, that they could permanently be gone or deleted?
Yes.
With regard to the camera example that we've been talking about, and the cards that are associated with it. How does that work in terms of, for example, deleting an image, a photograph? How does that work?
Deleting it from the camera itself?
Sure.
Deleting it from the camera itself, and in this specific case, is a 5-step process.
And I understand that, but is it the same as the computer where, and I'm just talking the theory of it,
Okay.
where it's deleted, does it then go to this other space out there until it's overwritten or covered up?
Yes, it works in the same fashion because it's stored in the media card.
The space that's out there where this image may go, does it have a name?
It will be considered unallocated space because it doesn't have a file assigned to it.
So the name for this place is unallocated, right?
Yes.
And you said it's unallocated because why?
It doesn't have a file assigned to that specific area.
What are you telling us when you say that it doesn't have a file assigned to that specific area? Hold on. As you told us before, you have the file in the file cabinet. Come on, you remove it, and you get rid of that file. How does that work with regard to pictures or images that are in unallocated space?
That will be more like if you have some type of way of indexing where you put things at.
Right.
You lost your index cards where now you don't know exactly where you put those things at.
And let's say that they're in this area, this unallocated space. Does that mean that you, as an investigator, are prevented from going into that unallocated space to look around?
No.
How does that work that you look around in that space?
When I look around in that space, what I would do is search for a file header of a specific file, and that will gain me access to whatever files with that file header are in the drive. And if those files are in unallocated space, it will return a hit for me showing me those files.
So it sounds from what you're telling me is that you can then, whatever program that you're using or whatever software you're using, you can actually go into this unallocated space and look throughout the whole unallocated space to see if there's something of interest to you.
Yes.
And how is it that they're presented to you? Do the images pop up? How does it work that you can go into this area to just look at these things?
Okay, there's different ways to look at it with the software. One of it would be an image view, which it will be just images popping up and you can see them like in a thumbnail view. You have multiple images that you could look at.
Hold on, and it's because probably I don't understand it, but you used a word that I want to talk to you about. You said thumbnail, and we've been talking about unallocated space. What's a thumbnail?
Well, basically, when you take an image, let's say with a camera, you take a photograph, it creates a large image, and then it creates a smaller image of the same image.
At the time of taking the photograph, there are two images that are created, the larger photograph as well as a smaller thumbnail?
Yes, that is correct.
So let's say that you delete the larger photograph, what happens to the thumbnail?
It may still be there. It gets deleted also, but it may still be in that area.
So could it be that the larger photograph is somehow deleted and gone, and yet the thumbnail remains?
Yes, if the area is not overwritten with new information, that part of it may still be there. Yes.
And the term thumbnail implies to me that we're talking smaller versus, I guess, larger finger. Are they smaller as the name implies, or are they the same size as the photograph?
They're not the same size. It's actually a smaller image.
So go ahead. You were telling us about the thumbnails and then in your investigation, how you go about it.
Right. What the software would do is you could either have different views. You could look at it in hex view, which will just be in letters.
Right.
You could look at it in image view, which will be your thumbnail view, which will give you all the images that it's able to recover.
Okay. In this particular case, did you have occasion to work with exhibits number 214, 215, and 220? Take a look. And first of all, the larger, I think, what's the number on the green camera?
214?
214. Did you have occasion to conduct an examination of that camera?
Yes, I did.
And with regard to that camera, explain to me how it works. Most of us are familiar with cameras, but explain to me how this camera works.
It's a digital camera, so it would need to have power source on it, basically electrical.
And there's a power source in there, correct?
Yes.
Who bought that?
I did,
And why did you buy it?
because I did not have a power source for the camera.
Didn't that camera come with batteries?
It did have a battery,
ASMR.
yes.
So why not just get a battery and instead of the power source, or is the power source battery?
Well, the battery was dead and it was, and I got the power source so I could maintain power on it.
Okay. And so you have this camera. How does it work? If this person's going to take a picture, how does it work?
Well, these types of cameras, you would turn them on and then you would basically point and click the button.
In terms of right and left-handed, which is sort of where I was going, this camera, the button, does it have a button to take photographs?
Yes, the button's on the top right
Why don't you
side.
just take it out so we can look at it? If you want, we can get some scissors. Is there such a thing as left-handed cameras? You know?
Not aware of any.
So what if you're left-handed? Do you still have to click with your right hand?
Yes,
And in this case, that's what we have here, right?
yes.
So let's say that you click on for an image and you want to click or take another image. How does that work? Do you have to push
You have
another
to,
button?
you have to
Hold on.
press, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Do you have to push another button or just tell me how it works?
It depends on the setting you have the camera on. Some cameras will give you a setting where you could do repeated photos by pressing onto it and not letting it go. And other cameras, you have to press on it multiple times.
Okay, but in terms of the focusing, is this an automatic focus? Is that how that works, or you know?
It has a setting for automatic focus, which is what's usually the camera would be on.
So if you just hold it down, you can keep taking photographs? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
With regard to your examination of this, we talked about it being somewhat similar to a computer. Did you actually follow that kind of route for the examination of this camera, or did you do something else?
For the camera,
Go home, YouTube. You're
once
drunk.
I had a power cord for it, I connected it via a USB connection to a right blocker that's connected to the computer. And I tried to see if I was able to obtain anything from the camera memory, and I was not able to.
So you plugged it in, you go to memory, you can't find anything, right? What was the condition of the camera? Was it the condition of the camera, or was it because
Right.
items were not in there?
Just heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier.
I was not able to find any items saved to the internal memory of the camera.
And what was the condition of the camera? We know that it had been found in a washing machine, but what was the condition of the camera?
It turned on and I was able to use it. It was turned on. I was able to turn it on and see that it worked.
Okay, and were any parts of it broken? Or-
I believe the actual button to take the pictures was loose.
Okay. So how were you able to determine that?
It kind of moved off of it as I manipulated the camera.
And were there any other items that were off of it? For example, was there any cover in the back that was off
Look
of
at
it?
it,
Anything
Jodi.
like that?
No,
at
it
that
looked
camera.
exactly how it looks now.
This SIM card that we have there,
Can I put down?
yeah. With regard to that, if you put water on it, would that affect,
Not yet.
right? If you put water on it, on the SIM card, would that affect it? In other words, its capabilities and its ability to work or not?
It can.
How about bleach? Would that also affect it?
Yes.
In this case, were you able to look at the camera and see where this SIM card was?
Yes, I was.
Were you the person who
Throwback
actually removed
Jodi
it?
Arias
Yes.
trial.
And tell me a little bit in terms of its safeguards
coming.
and protection from moisture. Why don't you tell me a little bit about where the SIM card was located?
The SIM card, well, it's not a SIM card, it's a memory stick. I'm sorry.
Memory stick?
Yeah.
What's the difference between what I've been saying and a SIM card?
It's
So much
a
fun to
similar
stare
type
at.
of a
Somebody
storage
put a lot of
device. A
work
SIM
into it.
card is more used for phones.
I see. And so this is a memory stick. Go ahead,
Right.
tell me.
And the memory stick, I from my recollection, had like a little cover on it. And then it was inside of the camera itself, in the area in the camera where you put the memory card in.
So my question was it protected from water and that sort of thing?
It could have been, yes.
Okay. And you have that memory stick there, correct?
Yes.
And what exhibit number is it?
215?
It's actually very small, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that a function of how much it can store, or is it just that it's small because of the camera?
I believe it's more of a function so it could be put in the camera and not take much space in the camera.
So now you have this camera, you've now plugged it in, you're about to start your analysis. What do you do next?
After I was done with the camera itself, then I went on to the actual card.
To the what?
To the memory stick media device.
And what did you do with that? I know that previously you said, well, I would normally make a mirror image and then I would use that for the analysis. Did you do that here or not?
Not exactly the same way, no.
No, why?
What happened was I connected the card to a card viewer. The viewer is basically, you could connect multiple different sizes of cards to it, and that's connected to the computer via USB.
Okay.
That also, I have a USB write blocker, which I use. That gets connected, the viewer gets connected into the USB blocker, which is connected into my forensic computer machine. When I try to bring up the card, it wouldn't come
machine.
up. I checked updates on my hardware blocker to make sure I was completely updated on all the new updates. I restarted the computer, which is what we typically do in the computer world. When something doesn't work, you just restart the computer and see if it works. Tried it again, didn't work. I tried it on my other computer because I had two. I tried it in my partner's computer, didn't work. At that time, the only alternative I had to try to get an image of it was to actually stick it into, use the card reader and actually connect the card reader directly into my machine.
And were you able to get some results with regard to that?
At that point in time, it did come up and I was able to see it in the computer.
And what were you able to see? Were there items that were there for you to look at that had not been deleted? Were there items there that have been deleted, or was there a combination?
There were a combination of items that I was able to see initially that were not deleted.
So in other words, there were actual photographs on that memory stick that had not been deleted.
Yes, there were actual active files on the memory card.
But there were also images that had been deleted, right?
Early January 2013.
Once I went ahead and made an image of the card, a forensic image of the card, I went ahead and used NCASE to look through the card.
I understand that, but there were some images that were deleted, correct?
Yes.
And with regard to the deletion process involving the camera, how many steps for a person to, let's talk about one image. How many steps would a person have to take in order to, you can take the camera out, to actually delete an image from that camera?
There'll be a 5-step process.
Okay, explain to me why it would be 5 steps.
First step would be to press the playback button, which is located on the back of the camera above the little LCD screen that it has.
And what does that do?
When you press the playback button, it brings you to the screen on the camera where you could select, where it brings up the screen on the camera where you can see photos on it.
So when it brings up the screen, do you see 1, 2, 3? How many photos do you see, or do you just see one?
It depends on sometimes it may bring up the last image that was taken.
And it may bring up other images,
Right.
correct? What if you want to delete it, not the last image, but an image before that? Do you then have to scroll back, or what do you have to do?
You can scroll back to do that, but you will have to select menu first to then select, which will be the third step, to select delete.
Okay, so we're at the first step, and the first step again.
The first step is pressing playback.
Okay, and then you see something. Then what's the next step?
The second step will be to press the menu button, which is located to the right of the LCD screen.
And why would the person need to press the menu button?
That's where you get the option to select delete.
All right, so you've now done that.
Agreed.
And when you get the option to delete, are you deleting whole schemes of things, or are you just deleting one image in the way we're describing it here?
Once you hit the button, you select delete, then you have multiple ways of deleting.
Okay, so we're at the menu portion then, right?
Right.
Then what's the next thing that you do?
The next thing will be to select delete from the menu portion. That's step number 3.
So when you select, what are you selecting? What are you trying to get?
You select delete. Once you select delete, then the 4th step will be to determine how you want to delete.
When you say how you want to delete, what are we talking about? I thought if you just push the button, delete, it's done.
Well, there's multiple ways of deleting. You can either delete one image, you select one image to delete, you can select multiple images, or you can select an entire folder containing images.
With regard to this camera, and you said it did have deleted items, but it also had items that weren't deleted, right?
Yes.
So do you have an opinion as to whether or not there was a choice as to the individual making a choice to actually delete some and not others?
Objection, foundation, and regulation.
Sustained.
With regard to this, were all of them deleted, all the photos deleted?
No.
Were only some deleted?
Yes.
And in your process that you're talking about, is that the fourth step, that there is a choice to be made?
Yes.
Then what's the fifth step?
The first step would be deleting the ones that you choose to delete.
So that would be the fifth step, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, do it. How long will it take? Can you do that, or is it not powered up enough for you?
It's not powered up for me to do that, but it will, depending how you do it, for one image, it will take the step process. I have to select it, wait for that to show up. I will have to select menu, then select on delete. Then I will have to go ahead and look at the image and whether I want to do multiple images or one image, and then I have to select delete again.
So you said that there were some deleted images and there was also some images that were not deleted. The images that were not deleted, did you look at those?
Yes.
And generally, or not generally, but what can you remember that those images or photographs were of?
There were photographs of Mr. Alexander in the shower.
And those were not deleted?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the not deleted.
Oh, not deleted. I don't know what the images were offhand.
Okay, but you do, there were the ones that were not deleted, correct?
There were quite a few not deleted images.
And with regard to the images that were not deleted, how is it that you go about capturing those in this case? How did you go about doing that?
As far as using my forensic software.
Just how is it that they then turn out to be a picture? You're going through it and then it becomes a picture at some point, right?
Right, when I look at it on my software, I select the image view and it shows me all the images. And initially it'll show me all the images that are in there. So I start seeing all the images that were not deleted.
Okay. And with regard to the items that were deleted, were there some that involved Mr. Alexander in the shower?
Yes.
Were there also some nudes that appeared people were involved in some sort of sexual activity?
Yes.
Was it a man and a woman?
Yes.
And then there were also three others that were at the end, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the first set of photographs. Take a look at exhibits 164 through 169. You recognize those?
Yes.
And were those images that you recovered from the camera, from the deleted space of that camera?
These are images that I recovered from the unallocated space of the camera.
Okay. When I said deleted and you said unallocated, explain to me what's the difference. Does it mean that unallocated, those are not deleted images?
No, it does not mean that, but it's a little different.
Why don't you tell me about it then?
A deleted image, in any case, is referred as to one that you can recover, fully recovering the entire directory of the file.
Okay.
With an unallocated one, and what I mean by the directory, it means in like a computer, when you're looking at a file, it'll tell you when it was created, and if it was deleted, it'll tell you when. With unallocated space, that part of the file may not be there.
In other words, the time when it was deleted isn't there.
Right, the part of the file that contains all that information would not be with the file, and the only thing you may be able to find is the actual image, or you may find sometimes partial images or partial files.
Are you also able to find, with regard to those that are in an unallocated space, are you able to find the date and time that the images were created?
Typically, you may not, but in this case, these images, when you take them with this camera, it embeds the date and time that the camera has set on it to the file itself.
And so with the photographs, at least that's some of them, comes the date and time.
Yes.
And I noticed that some of them are blurry and some of them are not. What's the reason for that?
The blurry ones were thumbnails, and when you make the thumbnail bigger, it becomes blurry.
And you previously explained to us what a thumbnail was, but just so that we're clear, this grouping that you have, does it include both full photographs as well as thumbnails?
Yes, it does.
So if the camera takes a photograph, which is normal size, and it also creates a thumbnail, when is the choice made by the camera to keep the thumbnail versus the larger size photograph? How does that work?
Typically, when you take the photo, both are created by the camera.
Well, in this case, why didn't you get the one that wasn't the thumbnail?
Because these images here were all deleted previously.
And so what happens then to the larger version when they're in the deleted or unallocated space?
The deleted ones that are not the same as the thumbnail were not found with the thumbnail may
We're
have
glad
been
you're
overwritten by other photos that were placed on the drive. I'm sorry, on the card.
But the thumbnail ones were not.
The thumbnail was not.
So in other words, they both went to the same place, but one of them may have been covered up. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, just overwritten.
Right.
So it's
Your
basically
term is
removed.
overwritten, okay. We'll go for the admission of exhibits 164.
He's done such a bad job. I think it's just dry. It's just dry. Truly.
169.
Exhibits 164 through 169 are admitted.
Sir, I'm looking at these photographs. Some of them have a date and time on there. Did the photographs, when you recover them, have the date and time on there, or is that something that was recovered as part of the process using the end case report?
The photo itself,
I'm talking about the writing on
the writing that was created with the end case.
and the date and time also?
The date and time was what the date and time end case showed on the photograph. For your image, I'm not sure how that got on
Well,
there.
why don't you just take a look at these and tell me, for example, the date and times on there. Where did they come from is the question.
They came from the end case report the way it's dated.
Okay, great.
I missed it. I'd have to check again.
First of all, let's take a
Next
look
time
at
it happens,
exhibit
I'll look.
164. And
Typically, they've been showing the
Start.
close-up on her mom. Oh, she can't look. Look, she's
what's
drumming
the
up
date
the
and
stairs.
time for this one?
Turning on the waterworks.
It's kind of difficult for me to see.
You wanna look at the photograph?
1:42:53 p.m.
And it does say something about unallocated clusters, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes,
We've been talking about unallocated space and that sort of thing. Is that the same thing, or is that
Yes.
something
You're going to
else?
see some
That's the same thing.
pictures. They are of Travis in the shower.
And then it is
but
an
I've
image of a,
pre-screened most
female,
of these
correct?
photos.
yes, it is.
And they okay. Unless I missed this one.
exhibit 166.
Oh, well, they didn't show whatever that was.
That's the image of a male, correct?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I see.
What is this right here?
They're not going to show
You
those.
know what that
first
is?
It looks
videos
like a
or
bottle
photos.
of personal KY, I believe, personal lubricant.
And what's the date and time on that one?
6408 at 1:44:50 p.m.
And then exhibit 165. What's the date and time on that one?
6408, 1:44 p.m.
Sir, if we then take a look at exhibit 167,
Bingo. What's his name? Mo.
you see this right here in the foreground? Do you know what that is?
I can't make it out.
If you then take a look at exhibit number 166, do you have any idea what that might be? We then
That
look-
one I mentioned earlier.
Could it be that same bottle of
It
personal,
could,
sir,
yeah.
let me, could it be the same bottle of personal lubricant? This item here, what's the top? What color is that?
It's blue.
The bottom down here, what color is that?
It's lighter in color, could be white,
Exhibit 166, what's the color of the top?
blue,
And ninjas.
And the body, if you will, of it?
white.
This back here is what? You know what that is?
Believe it's a TV.
I think it's
All right.
embarrassment for these photos. Mm-hmm.
And why is this so blurry as compared to, for example, Exhibit 166?
That one's a thumbnail.
And with regard to a thumbnail, why again is it that these are blurry and the other ones are not?
Because the smaller the image is, when you try to enlarge it, it becomes blurry because of the pixelation of it. So the larger the image, the more leeway you have with making it bigger or making it smaller, and it still seems clear.
Exhibit 168. This is one that's blurry, correct?
Yes,
But do you see this item up here?
yes.
Exhibit 166, the model there. What color does that appear to you to have the same sort of form as the bottle in Exhibit 166?
Yes, it does.
It says here, unallocated clusters. How come there's no date and time there?
I was not able to locate a date and time on that one.
But you used the same process for these photographs as you did for the others?
Yes.
In Exhibit 169, this one is also from,
Unallocated clusters.
we don't know the date and time on that one.
No, I do not.
I'm sorry, if we take a look at Exhibit 165. That's an earlier time of 1:44, correct?
Yes.
In Exhibit 167, the time is what?
1:47:15.
As part of examining the camera, did you also have occasion to find some other photographs of a male that is nude in the shower?
While examining the memory card, yes.
Look at Exhibits 141 through 160.
He's like, no, don't
Yes.
make me again.
Were these
please."
the items that were also part of the memory stick from this camera that we've been talking about?
Yes.
And you were the one that actually pulled them up, correct?
Yes, I was.
And the times and the date on there, they also appear on this end case report and then added to the photographs.
Yes.
Just so that we're clear, the time and date, is that something that came from a computer or is that something that came from the memory stick itself?
It was put there by the camera itself when it saved the photo to the camera, to the memory stick.
Move for the addition of Exhibit 141 to 160.
No objection.
Exhibits 141 through 160 are admitted.
Let's take a look at 141. And what's the date and time?
6408 at 5:22:24.
Were you out at the Queensboro address as part of the investigation or not?
Yes.
Did you happen to go upstairs to look where the body was found?
Yes.
And do you happen to recognize this shower area?
Yes.
Is this the area where the body was found?
From what I was told, I
bet
wasn't.
Jody's working on the tears.
Okay, how about when you were there and was the body there when you went there or had the body been removed?
I believe it was removed when I saw the shower.
Okay. And the time there is 5:22 and 24 seconds, right?
Yes.
Exhibit number 142. What time is it on there?
It's at 5:22:36.
By my calculation, that's 12 seconds apart, correct?
Yes.
So hence my question before in terms of the camera. If there's 12 seconds between is that a function of the person adjusting for the shot?
YouTube
Or is it a function of the camera not
bugging out
requiring
on chat.
some, maybe
Sometimes it
focusing
helps
or
to
something? Can you tell at all or not?
Sign out, sign in, or close and open.
It would, to me, it would be more of a function of the person taking their time to take another photo.
And if a person were to take this photograph, the camera, would it, given the way the photographs are taken, would the camera have to be in the right hand or the left hand?
Naturally, you would take the photo with your right hand. That's the easiest way to do it.
And why do you say that's the easiest way to do it?
Because with the left hand, you have to reach across the other side of the camera with your hand to press the button to take the photo.
And would you then run the danger, if you will, of putting your finger in front of the
Right, you would have to somehow reach over.
Exhibit 140? This is at
5/22/54.
And if you look at this one, this seems a lot darker, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
This camera, you did indicate it had an auto feature, correct?
yes.
If one
You
is
look at
darker
those,
and
Jodi.
one is not, what does that indicate to you, whether or not the camera was an auto
Another
feature
good
or not?
solution.
Or doesn't indicate anything at all?
It may indicate that it was being messed with, I don't know.
Well, in terms of the lighting, if the lighting hadn't been changed, let's assume that, and one is darker like this than the other,
Oh, this was all premeditated.
What does
She
that mean in
absolutely knew
terms
this
of
was
the-
right before.
camera and the settings on it.
The setting could have been changed.
And so somebody would have had to change the settings, right? Exhibit 144. This is at what time?
5/23/00.
And how many seconds later is that?
6.
Exhibit 145, what do we see there? Is the exposure, in other words, is the lighting there the same as in the previous two?
It appears to be similar.
And when was this taken?
5/23/24.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2. She did one while the jury was deliberating, I think.
Exhibit 146.
2.
What time was this taken?
5/23/30.
How many seconds apart?
6.
How about exhibit
You're not wiping nothing.
147? What time was it taken?
5/24/30.
And the previous one was taken what time?
5/23/30.
Yep. 15 in a day.
Exhibit 148. See that?
Yes.
I want you to compare it to exhibit 147. In exhibit 147, what
He's on
side
the
of the
list.
face is the person,
It's on the list.
what side of the face is being photographed?
The right side,
And in exhibit 148, what side?
the left side.
They both appear to be getting wet, don't they?
Yes.
See that right there?
No, it was like it's like a week or 2
And you see that right there?
Yes, I
to
did.
get the gun. She thought she was so dang smart.
The positioning of the person taking it changed, right? Taking the photograph, it appears, correct?
Objection leading.
Ooh.
Sustained.
If, when you were up there, you saw where the shower head was, right?
Yes.
Did the shower head position change?
No.
Did you see any other shower head that would have spouted out water or other than that one?
I just saw one shower head.
See the difference in times there. What are they? Can you tell?
I can't read it.
Bring it
It's
in.
kinda blurry.
And see it there?
5:24:48,
So how many seconds apart are they?
18.
Exhibit 149. Again, it's the left side of his head, correct?
Yes.
And the times on these?
5:24:52, 5:24. It's kind of blurry. I think it says 48.
All right, and if it is 48, how many second differential is that?
4.
Now, if we take a look at Exhibit 150, are you able to tell where the water is coming from?
Yes.
What part?
It's from the right side of the photo. Upper right.
Pardon?
Upper right side of the photo.
Can you tell from this how close the individual was taking this photograph? Or is it such that the photograph has a zoom kind of feature that would prevent you from doing that?
The camera does have zoom, so I wouldn't know how close they were.
But it is what side of the face is that?
That's the left side of the face.
Oh, her attorney should have to hold her head to just face the screen.
And the time?
5:24:56, 5:24:52.
And that's 4 seconds differential, right?
Correct.
Exhibit 151. What is this up here?
Water from the shower.
And do you have any idea what these droplets could be?
It could be from the door, shower door. It could be water that got on the camera lens itself.
Okay. What's the time on this one?
Right.
5:25:00.
And the differential between that one and the previous one?
4 seconds.
Exhibit 159.
$5:29:20.
Based on what you see there, can you
is.
tell whether or not the person's standing or not?
To me, he looks like he's sitting.
And the differential between that one and the previous exhibit is how much time?
4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Well, okay. Exhibit 160. What's the time on that?
5 minutes, 5:30, 30 seconds.
And the previous time was?
5:29:20.
Let's take a look at some other exhibits. Exhibit number 158.
They did not do a good job protecting these photos.
What's the
They're
time there?
everywhere.
It's kind of blurry on my end here.
Let me have you look at it.
On the 5:28, I'm sorry, I may need to get glasses. 5:29:12.
Would it be 5:29:12 or something else?
I can't tell if that's an 8 or not. I may need to get myself
How
some
about
reading glasses.
5:29? Hold on. Is that 5:29:20?
5:29:20.
the screen, and this one right here is 5/29/12, right?
Yes.
Exhibit 157 is what time?
5/28/54.
Exhibit 156 is
5/27/28.
Exhibit 155 is what time?
5/27/18.
Exhibit 154
These photos literally give a timeline,
is what?
almost minute by minute of
5/27/12.
what happened right before. Just
And exhibit
gross.
153 is
If she was going to take these, why the heck did she not just take the camera with her? I mean, I'm glad she
5/26/56.
didn't, but these were obviously going to be mementos. So
exhibit 160 is
5/30/30.
Yep.
Did you also recover another grouping of photographs from the memory stick of that camera?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, they were definitely her trophies, Lady in Gray. And as an Iron
161,
reporter, I don't.
162 and 163.
It's not very smart. Or she thought she was way too smart for them and figured she'd be fine.
You recognize those?
Yes.
The images that you also located in the unallocated portion of that memory stick.
Yes.
Move for the admission of exhibits numbers 161 to 163.
No objection.
Exhibits 161, 162, and 163 are admitted.
Hello. Welcome.
Take a look at exhibit 1.
One of those things where you just got to be okay with
61.
not knowing, because honestly, it's okay not to know.
What do you see there?
It's the ceiling area and
Camera.
the upper wall portion
Fallen.
of the bathroom,
What is this over here?
the door frame.
And what is this right here?
It's metal. To me, it looks like the shower area.
It looks what?
It might be the shower area. I'm not sure.
It might be
the shower.
The shower door, you mean?
Yeah.
Lisa.
And the times?
6408 at 5/31/14.
Versus the previous exhibit, which is exhibit number 160.
It's at 5/30/30.
It's approximately
Thanks for catching up.
45 seconds apart.
That was a good
Yes.
one. That was a good WTF.
When you obtain things or find things in this memory stick, can you tell whether or not the photograph was taken right side up with the camera right side up or the camera right upside down?
I will have to look at the image and I can determine that. Yes.
So you can do that.
Yes.
And you can do that in this case, right?
Yes.
With regard to this particular, before we leave it, this area up here, well, it's a ceiling, right?
Yes.
You don't see any floor, do you know what floor trim is? Do you know what
Yes.
that is? Do you see any floor trim anywhere here or anything?
No.
Just basically see a ceiling, right?
Yes.
And was this right side up? Was the camera right side up when this picture would snap? Or was the camera upside down?
Right side up.
Take a look at Exhibit 162. First of all, when you recovered
Yeah,
this
look at my face. Sorry. everybody.
photograph, were you able to know or tell us whether or not the camera, when it snapped this photograph, was it right side up or was it upside down?
It was upside down
How do you know that?
because when I looked at the original image, it was upside down.
And this area down here, can you tell what that is?
That's the floor.
So what this is?
There's a stain. It looks like blood.
No. Is it the floor? Is it the
Floor,
ceiling?
I'm sorry, yeah, floor.
Maybe my question was not. And if we take a look.
Tile flooring, I'm sorry.
If we take a look at exhibit number 161,
I know some people
are
are
we
good
looking
with
at a
it,
floor
but
there or not?
Looking at the
people are not.
ceiling.
I'm
And
not
you've done this
not about
issue
to do
with
that.
cameras
The other
and
ones were
photographs.
enough.
How many cases
you
have
know?
you worked involving that?
Numerous cases.
When you say numerous, you've worked on one or two, or how many?
Over 100 cases dealing with different types of media.
And with regard to photographs, you've seen many photographs, I suspect.
Yes,
When I say many, how many are many to you?
hundreds of thousands.
And with regard to those, have you been able to develop an idea, if you will, or an opinion based on that, having viewed all these hundreds of thousands of photographs, as to an opinion as to where that camera was in exhibit 162, in other words, floor or somewhere else?
It will have to be off the ground.
And would it have to be right above the ground, higher off the ground? What is your opinion?
At least 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet.
And would that be an area that's waist high?
It could be.
And the time here is 5:32:16, correct?
Correct.
Not
And
fast
if we take a look at exhibit 161,
Seriously.
how much time has passed?
Almost a minute.
Actually, it'd be like a minute and 2 seconds, wouldn't it, I think?
Yes.
And if we take a look at exhibit 163, what is this down here?
That's the floor baseboard.
And you see a mass of some sort, right?
Yes.
And it looks like it has some reddish lines coming down, right?
I don't know
Yes.
what that is. Therefore, not showing.
Take a look at exhibit 162. Do you see any reddish lines there?
Yes.
And the time on this one, and I think I probably have to give this to you because it's really blurry. Take a look at it. Exhibit 163.
Hmm.
5:31:32.
But you're still typing.
Just bring it up closer. Maybe.
Oh, there we go. Looks different now.
That's it. Let me just bring it in.
Okay. 5:33:32. Sorry.
All right. And the one before it is what?
5:32:16.
This one, was it right side up or upside down?
Upside down.
And where was the camera, given your expertise, when it took exhibit number 163?
On the ground.
How about with regard to exhibit 162, where was the camera when it took that photograph?
On the ground.
As part of your investigation in this case, did you also happen to examine a computer in this case?
Yes.
Where was the computer found at the crime scene that you examined?
In the office space on the first floor.
With regard to a computer, well, this computer, were you able to tell whether it was on or off at the time that it was taken by the police?
Prior to me taking it, it was what I call sleep mode.
What is sleep mode?
Basically, when you turn on your computer and there's a setting on it, after a certain amount of time that there's no activity, the monitor would basically shut off. The monitor goes dark
And what's the purpose of that?
to save battery.
Oh, it's 2013 one.
This was in sleep mode then, right?
Yes,
And is this after a certain period of time that it goes into sleep mode?
it's a setting, yes.
And in examining this, were you able to tell when was the last time that anyone, whoever it may have been, actually did anything with it? Either viewed something, sent something? Or
Yes,
when was that?
I will have to look at my report.
Go ahead and take, do you have it there and I'll mark it?
Yes.
Take a look at 347, which is your report, and find it, and then let me know once you do that so that we can continue.
It shows that the,
Well, read it to yourself.
okay,
Okay, once you've read it, what time, date and time?
June 4th, 2008, 15:34, 49 hours, which is 3:34, 49 PM.
All right. I may have that. Did you do anything else with regard to this laptop? It was a laptop, right?
Yes.
What else did you do with regard to it?
At the scene, I removed power from it, which is what we do when we seize it.
Right.
You remove power, so there's nothing else, no other activity. I labeled it, and then I packaged it. I believe I returned the following day to take it to the evidence section and turn it into the evidence section.
One of the things that some computers have are that they are password protected. Do you know what that means?
Yes,
What does that mean?
that you need a password to gain access to the computer.
Did you need a password to get into the computer or not?
No,
How is it that you can bypass it?
because I go and look at the actual data on the drive. It's not the same as looking at what you see on your desktop.
Let me go ahead and have that back. Did you also have occasion to examine a phone, a telephone?
Yes,
And what kind of telephone was it?
a pocket PC.
And where was the telephone from?
It was also located in the office.
And with regard to that, did you happen to look at the text messages that were on there? Some of them anyway.
Yes,
And when I said some of them,
Hi,
were you able
Marilyn.
to look at
Thanks for
all
being
of them?
here.
no,
And were you
This is
able
one of
to
Travis's sisters.
extract, when you look, when you
I think this
conducted
is
your
actually
examination,
Her
were you
husband.
able to extract the text messages from that cell phone?
no.
Why not?
There was no technology at the time that could extract it.
Oh, I think.
And when we say extract, what do we mean?
Remove it, pull it out.
And put it in a form that we could look at it,
Yes.
like a piece of paper?
Either a file or you could print it out to a piece of paper, yes.
And that was not available at the time though, right?
No.
But it has since become available, hasn't it?
Yes, that's my understanding.
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Cross-examination.
Okay, so I want to get into cross, but I also am really wanting to get into this interrogation video, which I'm going to tell you, the more that I kind of scan through these videos, the more I realize that I don't know if they actually play the whole thing. Now, it's important to know that the interrogation video is I found a playlist and it's 18 videos. Considering that it's on YouTube, I can actually speed it up a little bit. And so yeah, I think it is the sister's husband. So I'm wondering if you guys want to hold on cross here and make sure that we see this interrogation video. We may not see the whole thing tonight. I mean, we're all human beings that got stuff to do the next day. But we can start watching it tonight and continue it on Wednesday. Teresa, they show pieces and parts of it, but I'm not convinced that they show the whole thing. So I'm just wondering if you guys are interested in definitely seeing the whole thing now, or do you want to just start it at the beginning of Wednesday? I'm leaving this up to you. You all have the... I wish I could do a poll. I can't do a poll. But I'll wait for a few people. Show it now. I don't think they do. Yes, please. Don't mind either way. Either way. Yes. Okay, now. Okay. Well, we can do that. Let it never be said that I did not listen to wonderful folks. You wonderful folks. All right. Let's see here. I think I already got it set up to 1.25. It's strap in. Strap in. That music can stop now. Cool. Look at that. Brought in question for murder, and she's sleeping. You all are fun. This is gonna be fun, I think. You all are gonna. How long does this go till? Oh, you know what? She's handcuffed. She is handcuffed for sure. She's definitely faking it. That's definite. The other situation is like usually after people do the oh. He said that's uncomfortable. I'm gonna sit down on the ground. Oh, good grief. Whoa! That was a violent hair flip. That was like what I tried to do today when I portaled in briefly with the music. Can we skip to the talking? Yeah, sure. There's not much more before that. I'm just going to try and make sure we don't miss anything. All right. She said, "Where'd you go?"
I get you just have some food. I'll be right in. You can take my handcuffs off. What's that? You can take my handcuffs off. As soon as the detective gets in here, Detective Flores, he can take those off for you. I think that's what he told you anyway. He'd allow you to have your handcuffs off.
Have your ancestors. All right, closed captions. Go home. You're drunk. It is sped up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm at 1.25. For sure. Cold in here, she says. Oh. All right. A brief respite. That's Detective Esteban Flores, who we've seen like 15 times already in trial.
Any chance we could get my purse?
Yeah, we'll get that from the house.
Will they bring it to me?
We'll probably be putting your property. There's water for you. Yeah.
Can you maybe try to eat it from here? Or like do the sweater I can borrow or something? I don't have any sweaters. I'll see if I can find out. It's hard to keep heat in this building. That's fine.
Complaining about.
Should I lock myself in here? So you remember me?
Of course I do.
I traveled all the way up
Of
here
course I do.
to talk to you. Because
We're gonna go back to normal.
I've been working on Travis's case ever since it happened.
The audio's not perfect.
And I know exactly when it happened, when he was killed. I know a lot of details, and just recently we found quite a bit of evidence, and I'll discuss that with you. The main thing that I'm looking for, though, is answers on why certain things happened, why they went so far, and also to get your statements.
Okay.
A lot of details on this case that haven't been released to the public and not even to Travis's family. And those details are known only by us and the person who did it. Okay, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, because I believe that you know some of these details.
Cool.
And I think you can help us.
I would love to help you in any way that I can.
Okay. Because we're here at the police department, the sheriff's department here in, was it Siskiyou County? It was called, okay. And you're considered under arrest or detained, you're not free to go. And I'm a police officer, I have to read you your rights, okay? I'm sure you've heard them on TV, you know, I have to read them off this little card here, but they're pretty much the same, and I'll explain them to you as we go, okay? Let's see. This is July 15, 2008, correct?
Yes.
Let's see what time it is here. It's 10:01.
Thanks for being here.
This is case number 2008-161-0844. Okay. You do have the right to remain silent. Okay. Anything you say may be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of an attorney to assist you prior to questioning and to be with you during questioning if you so desire. If you cannot afford an attorney, you have the right to have an attorney appointed for you prior to questioning. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
And what I'm going to do is just ask you some questions, ask you what you've been doing, you know, certain dates, what you were up to.
Yeah.
You're
You
appointed.
mentioned you were traveling on some of these dates.
I travel.
I want to kind of clarify some of these things. And, you know, if there's a question that you don't want to answer, you don't feel comfortable, you can say no, you know, or, you know, you can elaborate as much as you want. It's completely up to you. It's at your speed. I don't want to pressure you.
Is this recorded at all, or should we?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a recording or anything.
I don't know if these are voice recorders. I noticed them.
Oh my gosh.
They have audio or batteries or what.
I don't think they're on.
Very cool.
It's okay.
These sort of heats.
Yeah, I haven't touched those or anything, but
Okay.
But you have,
thank
you, fingerprints.
they're
Thank
not
you.
on. So what I want to do is just get to the bottom of it. Everybody wants to know. Okay. And you know, so I'm going to ask you some questions. You can voluntarily answer them if you want. Okay, is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. There was some question about you being. Well, let's start with this. What have you been up to since Travis's death? What have you been doing?
Well, I've been working.
Mhm.
I haven't been really working in prepaid legal. There's not a whole lot here in this marketplace, which is,
It's kind of small here.
it's small here, and really that could be seen as an opportunity rather than a hindrance, because that just means the market is untapped in a large way. So I could have, if I wanted to, but I'm kind of like a deer in the headlights when it comes to prepaid legal. I just have a fear of just approaching people. So I've been working at a Mexican restaurant in the north end of town. I've been kind of in a daze, at least for the first few weeks.
Like everybody. You know.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people have been posting on Facebook really nice things, you know, and memories. And at one point I was like, well, maybe I should do that. So I posted this thing and I just said all my memories. And I realized looking back on it that it kind of sounded immature. It's more like my Dear Travis kind of letter.
Immature. No kidding.
More personal.
Yeah, some of it was details, a little more personal. Not too personal, nothing inappropriate. Just I just felt funny. I think because I'm a photographer, I tend to communicate more through pictures. So I posted a ton of pictures that I had of him. And I have a ton more that I just can't access right now. And videos and things that I know his family would want. But so I posted pictures and I took that down, and I posted something last week. But other than that, I've been on Facebook and MySpace.
Just the ones that made her look good.
Looking at his profile, looking at his pictures, reading things about his obituaries and any news updates. And, you know, there's legacy.com where you can write something about him.
She was looking those up to see if she was mentioned. You know she was.
I didn't realize until I actually spoke with Ryan Burns. He told the guy that's in Utah. And we've been talking a lot. And we try not to talk about that.
That was her alibi.
And plus, Travis is my ex-boyfriend.
We saw him.
At the same time, he's my friend. So while I'm mourning my friend, how do you talk to your new potential, possible, maybe person that you might start dating about your friend, even though he was your ex-boyfriend? So it's kind of a gray area. I try not to talk about him too much, but he comes up a lot.
I bet he does. I bet he does. I
And it
bet
was
he
through
does.
him that I learned that he said, you know, if you come out to Utah, things are really weird because everyone thinks that you could have had a hand.
And I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody's pointing a finger at you.
I know.
You know, everybody is saying, I don't understand what happened to Travis. I don't know who killed him. But you need to look at Jodi. And sometimes the simplest
You were mentioned,
answers
Jodi.
are the correct ones. And that's one of the reasons I started looking at you a little bit closer. And over the last month or so, I've
But we
gotten
do.
into Travis's life, talked to all his friends, his family. I got a really good understanding of who he is now. And I got a very good understanding of your relationship with him. And I'm kind of just putting two and two together.
Well, I
And
think
it kind of matches. So one of the reasons I'm here is to talk to you to figure out what was going on between you.
I like how he's
I
approaching
know the
this.
relationship that you guys had was
do.
of convenience sometimes. Obviously, you weren't boyfriend, girlfriend anymore, but you were still having a sexual relationship, which,
does
you
his
know,
family know about that? I'm just curious.
no, his family doesn't know it.
How dare you be embarrassed,
I'm interested in protecting how he's remembered as well. And
you liar.
you know, he was
Well, I'm
Very
sure
what?
if Travis could speak right now, he wouldn't care what people thought about him because they knew who he was. Okay, a sexual relationship here or there, because of the fact he was a member of the church, really doesn't matter.
A couple times I asked him
whole
if he
range
could-
of things.
yeah. I think in the broad scope of things that could be right. I just think that the
Yep.
reason I care about that is because he was adamant about that. And a couple times we prayed about it, didn't work, or we didn't stick to our guns on it. And one time a girlfriend of mine just said, why don't you just go to your bishop and talk and ask Travis the same? And I talked to him about it and he got really angry. He said, I've already had problems with this in the past. I'm embarrassed by it. I don't want to go to my bishop. And so we just kind of stopped for like a few weeks. And then that must have been in, I think it was August. And then it just resumed.
Well, the way Travis thought by, getting into his head.
End credit.
He's written in his journals and everything I found out about him. He truly had feelings for you. And for some reason,
Good man.
he felt
Smart.
that the relationship between you and him was somewhat unhealthy, but he couldn't stop it. And I assume that's probably maybe the same way you felt about him, or
It's probably,
maybe you didn't understand why he didn't believe it was healthy.
No, I didn't think it was healthy either, spiritually at least, and probably emotionally, but mostly spiritually. And I think that kind of, once you have something that's not healthy spiritually, it filters through all aspects of your life. It's one of the main, there were three main reasons I moved back to Eureka. And one was I was in financial dire straits. I was not getting ahead. Things were not working. Everything in Arizona was like, except for the wonderful friends that I made in my ward, and the opportunity. It's like the Mormon land of opportunity there, which is awesome. But except for all that, like every sign was pointing, just go. I wasn't able to hold a job, and that had never happened before. Too much of my nightlife was about him. He would text me and, hey, I'm getting sleepy, ... Just a bunch of Z's, and that was his code to like come on over, kind of thing. Coast is clear, So, and that was just, I lived 5 minutes away, 10, maybe 10, depending, and it was just too convenient and too easy, and it was fun, and we had fun when we were together, and so it wasn't healthy, and I totally agree with that. So that was one of the well, financially, I wasn't doing well. I missed my family. I moved away shortly after high school, and I come back to visit, but I realized over the years I'd missed out on a lot of things with my little brother and sister. Missed out on just their karate or their baseball or cheerleading or just whatever. And my dad is not doing well. He doesn't think he has very long to live, but he always says that. It's been that way for like a decade. He's still here, thank goodness. My grandparents aren't getting any younger, and I just have an awesome family. And I wanted to be able to just be here for a little bit and regroup financially. I owe my parents a lot of money, and I owe my grandparents a lot of money, and I owe friends money. I owe my the guy that I bought a house with, I owe him a lot of money. He doesn't ask me for it, but I intend to pay him back because he really footed the bill on the mortgage for a few months. And the third reason, and I like to put this third because I like to think that second to those reasons I would have been strong enough somehow, but the third reason was to put a physical distance between Travis and I, because I know that he really liked Mimi, and he said he did. I kind of felt guilty. I mean, I know they weren't dating, but I just felt guilty somehow, and I didn't know Ryan at the time. I met him in March in Oklahoma City, and it was just brief, and I remember seeing him and saying, oh, I really want to go say hi to him, but he was surrounded by people, and he was kind of unapproachable. And he says he remembers meeting me too, and it wasn't until Zion, my friend, texted me, and I think I told you that.
And this is all after
you
broke up.
Oh yeah.
Broke up with Travis, everything was all over.
As far as the timeline, we broke. It was kind of a mutual thing, but I sort of more broke up with him. Yeah. It was hard to do because I really loved him, but I just realized that without trust, you can't have anything, and I had violated his trust.
Is that the main reason you guys broke up? Is the trust?
Trust. I think that
not that the relationship was unhealthy because of the sexual activity, promiscuity, but just that you guys couldn't trust each other.
I think that, and this doesn't make it right, I think that, being a convert, I've had a couple of serious relationships before where I was intimate with a few people, and it's kind of silly, but I used to always joke that regardless of what the Bible says, and yes, I'm Christian, I just live my life by the 10 Commandments, and those are my rules. Thou shalt not this or that, but it doesn't say thou shalt not fornicate. So I just used to joke about that, and it's a bad philosophy. I think that with Travis, there was a part of me that felt really guilty because there was something inside that thought you're this is nice for instant gratification, but you're destroying what you could have with Travis. And that's why we did pray about it. I remember we knelt by his bed once, and surprisingly, he suggested it. Normally, I would suggest that we pray before we go on a trip or before we eat if we're alone.
That was kind of unusual for him.
Yeah, because he was very resistant to prayer with me. I mean, I think in church it would have been fine, and I feel that maybe because we were driving away the spirit constantly. Or maybe he felt that by inviting the spirit, he would feel guilty about later on in the evening, or I don't know what the deal was. Or the excuse he used was because I'm a convert, I need more practice saying prayers. He's like, so I'd say, will you say a prayer? He's like, why don't you say a prayer? Why don't you say a prayer? Why don't you say a prayer? So we'd go back and forth, and it's just one time when I was on a trip at Havasu High, we were all getting on the road, and I think it was with Dan Friedman and his sister Desiree, and they were all like, Jodi, will you say a prayer? And I said, sure, and Travis was like, Anyway, I didn't want to argue with them. So, anyway, what was I saying?
Well, he's, the whole trust issue keeps coming back into my mind.
That was the big reason.
He was a big time flirt, and that's the one thing everybody says about him. He flirts a lot. Does he mean anything by it? No, not really. That's just who he is. He did have, girlfriends here or there, and he was at a point in his life where he wanted to really start settling down. He felt like he needed to kind of grow up,
Mhm.
become a husband, become a father. That time had come, and he felt that time had come and gone, and he was falling behind.
He told me that too. He said he felt like his time was running out, and I told him that, despite the fact that he's not going to be in a singles ward very much longer, he still has a lot of options. He's still a very eligible bachelor. And he just didn't see it that way. He was like, you don't understand. He was like, that might be true, but my chances are severely reduced once I turn 31. It was like this ticking time bomb.
Finding a good Mormon girl, was difficult because in that church, that most of the girls get married in their early 20s.
Yeah. He said he didn't want to marry a girl in her early 20s because he said that he noticed a lot of pattern in the church with girls that married between 19 and 24, so to speak, would they'd start having babies and growing their family, and then they would look at their single girlfriends who are still having fun with no responsibilities, and they would regret getting married. And I think if you're strong in the church, it's not so much a problem, but
depends on who you surround yourself with too. If you surround yourself with the right people, it's a different story. But that's where he was. And did you guys ever discuss possibly getting married or anything?
when we were dating, we did.
Okay.
Once we broke up, he brought it up. He actually proposed to me a lot of times, but he wasn't serious. I think he was serious once, and it was when we broke up. And that was really hard because we were on the phone, and it was just like none of that stuff should be done on the phone anyway, but I was hundreds of miles away. And I told him that I loved him. We didn't say I love you during our relationship, but we said it afterward. It was weird.
Okay.
I said, this isn't, breaking up with him on the phone wasn't really the way I wanted to do it, but it was kind of a situation that had just come to a point where it just couldn't be ignored anymore. And
Let's move to after the breakup.
oh, okay.
What kept you in Mesa at that point?
I actually moved to Mesa a few weeks after we broke up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, as far as the timeline goes, but I mean, if you want to call it our official breakup, shortly thereafter, it's like we were still seeing each
So
other.
you guys were seeing each other, but it was a long distance type relationship.
It was always long distance when we were officially dating. We dated from about the beginning of February to about the end of June. So
Okay.
February, March, April, May, June, about 5 months total.
Okay. In June of 2007, you guys broke up, and then
June
you moved to
29th.
Mesa.
Yeah, I moved to Mesa sort of.
Most
He
people,
was-
when they break up, they kind of go their
I
own
know,
way.
and plans were already in order for me to move there. I was already speaking with a friend who was, was going to be her roommate, and I was her roommate for a short time. She's kind of flighty. She's a great girl, though. I had talked to Travis about maybe going to Southern California instead.
Okay.
And he's really persuasive.
He persuaded you to stay there in Mesa.
He kind of was playing up all the advantages if I did come to Mesa. And if I did, he said, it's a great place. We could still see each other and hang out on occasion. This church is very strong. You'll make a lot of friends. And I already knew all this stuff prior because we talked about that. And so I went ahead and just made the move. It sounded at the time like a good idea.
And you guys continued to kind of see each other at that time.
Yeah, at the time I was sort of living more across town over by Greenfield. Do you know where that is? It was up Greenfield near Broadway, Greenfield and Broadway were the nearest cross streets. And that's where the girl that I was originally talking with, I moved in with her.
Yeah, it's kind of far from
Yeah,
Travis.
yeah. The thing about her, and just to give you a background of why I moved suddenly, she approached me the weekend after I got there and said, hey, she knocked on my door, can I talk to you for a second? I said, sure. And she moved in with her boyfriend, and they were engaged.
Okay.
And she said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that Scott and I went to Vegas last weekend to tie the knot. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, we haven't told anyone, but we didn't want to live in sin. So we're going to, and she had already been sealed in the temple once and was waiting for her cancel. Or
Yeah.
to
Her sealing would be
yeah, to be canceled. So they were going to have a civil wedding on a beach in Oregon. And they did that the following weekend. She told me that on a Monday or Tuesday. It was the beginning of the week. And she said, the reason I'm telling you that is because I'm getting married this weekend and I have to go out of town a few days ahead of Scott, make arrangements. And now that he's a married man, we don't feel it's right that you be here in the house.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want to inconvenience you, but is there any way you could stay with somebody else or just find another place? At the time I was waiting on a house in Gilbert because I already knew they were getting married, so I was kind of looking anyway. And there was a great girl named Brenda, and she was waiting on her keys for the mortgage to go through, and it was a great ward, it was a great house, and it was brand new. Construction and all that was really nice, but she didn't get her keys for months and months. I think she's in the house now, but I don't know, I haven't talked to her. So I scrambled. I went to the Institute, I wrote down a bunch of phone numbers, I called them all, a lot of them, I got voicemails. One girl that answered, her name was Tiffany, and she knew Travis. And she was at his services in Arizona and, as well. And we've just remained friends sort of like on MySpace and Facebook and that kind of thing. But she said, hey, sorry, that's not paid posting. I forgot to take it down, but go to this website. So LDShousing.net, I went there. I made 3 phone calls for the places that were within my price range. I didn't think to look where they were. The one girl that called me back, her name was Shannon Darracott. She said, here's my place, here's the directions, go ahead and go out and come see the house. It was available, so we did.
Oh, go ahead.
You have to get that?
No.
Okay. So I moved out there, and when Travis found out it was so close to him, he freaked out about it. And I made sure to check that it wasn't, that we wouldn't be in the same ward. And it was within his ward boundaries, but it was also within another singles ward boundary. So of course I'm gonna go the other one, because it would just be kind of weird. I mean, I didn't know about him and Lisa at first.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if they were even dating at that time. I don't know what their whole timeline was. But it still would have been weird, and it wouldn't have made Travis
Now,
very
during that
comfortable.
time that he was seeing Lisa, did you continue to see him as well?
Yeah, and I didn't know that he was seeing her.
Okay. But he would call you and have you come over.
Yeah,
I know there was a time when you, I guess, were cleaning his house too for extra money or something.
yeah, I did
He
that.
hired you.
Yeah, I did that because he knew that I was struggling, and he's like, I've been doing the math, and that happened pretty much right on. I think that started in August. He's like, I've done the math, and I feel that I can be more protective. My time is more valuable than X amount of dollars per hour. So why don't I pay you this per hour, and I'll work, and you can make a little bit of money.
Okay.
So that helped.
That makes sense. And that was around the same time frames, the move and back and forth.
Yeah, it was like a few weeks after the move. I was still living with Rachel over on Greenfield.
Okay.